back down, so step it up. Goddamn, up, back, up, goddamn, up, back, goddamn, up, back, up, goddamn, up, back, goddamn, up, back, up, goddamn, up, back, goddamn, up, back,
Got the money in the bank. Hit you with the. Hit you with the bank. Hit you with the. Hit you with the 808. Hit you with the. Hit you with the 808. Bang to the break. Bang to the break. Bang to the break. Bang, 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 bang. I'm a boss and you know that I'm finna shine. Got the money in the bank. Got the money in the bank. Got the money in the bank. Bank, 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 bank. Got the money in the bank.
Hit you with the 808.
Hit you with the. Hit you with the bank. Hit you with the. Hit you with the 808. Hit you with the. Hit you with the 808. Bang to the break. Bang to the break. Bang to the break. Bang,
kill.
I am the hunter!
Wherever they run, I will find them.
Woo! We got this.
Stand in my way. We good?
Clean things up. 5 Emperors are going to find themselves in an economic deficit once more as 100 Thieves look to pull away.
Well, it's the best start that 100 Thieves could have hoped for, and it's not all too unsurprising, excuse me, looking at this matchup, again, in the grand scheme of things. But just how that worked out for 100 Thieves is they made the most of kind of a crappy situation, losing a player immediately. They at least made it somewhat scary, 5 Emperors. So at the end of the day, you can't be all too concerned. You're losing to the First Strike champions, but obviously a chance to strike back. This is still very early days. Valorant is such a crazy game. They're up against a stand-in for the IGL. I mean, there's definitely some question marks here. 5 Emperors, though, as you mentioned, only do have those pistols to call their own. 100 Thieves, I think right now they're going to focus on trying to take all the ult orbs that they possibly can. I think Hiko actually just took one for his Hunter's Fury. They're just trying to build up the ultimates right now and obviously stabilize their economy. I don't see this potentially being scary. I mean, for sure, 100 Thieves don't give this up, right?
The only ultimate available for 5 Emperors is that run it back.
What a shot.
Sai unfortunately going to fall that one way, not really doing its job. Asuna now going on in, is able to find Dinks before he could get that ultimate off, and it's all red. It's all red across the board. 5 Emperors only down to their last member, and Sean going to try and do a bit of damage to the economy. He does just that, but with 26 health, the spike planted a 1v4 and just a stinger. I say just a stinger, but I mean, just beat out that Vandal. There it is. He peeks on out. You just got to go for it. No harm, no foul. Now the economy back in the right place, exactly where the Emperors want it. They have been dethroned 4 rounds in a row. It's another bye round, and I'm interested to see how things change, because it feels like the aggression from 100 Thieves, it's just unmatched. There's no way to stop it, and it's Asuna leading the charge.
I really think a little bit more of an emphasis over towards who can control or completely conceding it. Maybe emphasis over towards belong. It's something that you see 100 Thieves do a number of times. Again, looking back at that time in VOD, where they're actually kind of doing exactly this setup. An aggro dart down. Usually they have a paranoia at the ready to play contact off of, but that isn't the case. Their Omen is actually at the other site completely. This isn't exactly the 100 Thieves setup that you're used to seeing from the 5 Emperors, so maybe they're not going to be completely mimicking the champions, but at least they've stayed stable so far. They haven't dropped a player, and we're nearly a minute into this round. Well, down to the minute mark, I think would be more accurate to say. Aggressive drone through. Doesn't find all too much amazing information, but it's more than enough for Asuna to try to begin his escapade to take over that B-bomb site.
They just have him pegged here on this B site. Paint shells to force him out of position, then trying to spray him through the tube. Those smokes will delay things for a moment. And you love to see this from 100 Thieves. They're giving so much respect to this team. Although the 128th seeded team in this tournament, they're not trying or pushing their luck or trying their hand to do anything incredibly crazy. There's so much respect between both of these teams, and that's exactly why, because the kills will come through. Asuna now stuck on the site all by himself, will finally fall. And with 30 seconds left, that spike now rotating over towards this A site. Sai is still here. Has the showstopper available. Might look to use it. With that satchel charge, there it is. Might find a double kill. It is a double kill, but one unfortunately is himself. Now Hiko to turn things around. The Emperors to get forward. They might just do it. It's all up to the Clutch King, but Hiko will fall. And against all odds here, Ito, 5 Emperors pick up a round.
Hey, this is how a comeback begins. This is how an upset begins. But 100 Thieves, they're not going to take this one lying down. They are so good at adapting, reading these setups. It's not a mistake that they're going to make twice. Seal got a little bit caught off guard there. It is what it is. You give up one round, but you look to strike back in this next. Another full investment in from 100 Thieves. It's not unexpected, but now they have 3 ultimates in play. 2 actually also on the side of 5 Emperors. What I'm imagining we see here is a pretty similar setup. 5 Emperors immediately gambled, but they're overall playing incredibly passive towards B. And really, 100 Thieves, for the most part, respected it. Oh, look at this orb from Dicey. That's actually going to go... Oh, well, it's actually going to miss, but it was supposed to go over towards U-Haul. I think that might throw a little bit of a wrench in their plans. It doesn't matter, though. They're committed to the idea. And, of course, that 100 Thieves aggression you talked about before, and it's going to stay true yet again. 5v2, they get the spike down. No further qualms.
And then a 2v4, this might be a save round coming on through. Dinks tried to make a play through the teleporter. Sent back with that, run it back. And this next round was the complete inverse to what we saw in the previous one. I said they're showing them respect. They're, doing their due diligence to make sure that they're not giving up too much. And that caused them to lose the round. They played it slow. They weren't expecting a few things, like you pointed out. And they lost the round. Now, in the next one, they go right back to it. They take the fights. They win the fights. And that's how they're going to win the round. So 100 Thieves making, again, these adjustments on the fly, realizing how they need to play against their opponents as they net a 5th round now, 5-1. Resurrection available. Looks like Neural Theft and that From the Shadows available as well. And if you're 5 Emperors, at the very least, you're hoping that Hunter Shuri can now be used to stop a plant, buy some time, delay this 100 Thieves push, because it's been the aggression that's working.
It's Steel himself who said that Hunter's Fury is probably one of the most versatile ults out there. Only can be probably matched by those Jet Knives, that Blade Storm. But it's so good for eking out an early kill. If you're really clever with your dart usage or drone usage, it can also be good to deny plants or even in a post plant. There really are a lot of options, kind of like what you mentioned, Tanner, but you have to hope that it's going to be good. 100 Thieves, it's not broke, so they're going to keep on doing the same exact thing, Hammer it in until eventually 5 Emperors learn their lesson. There's an aggro dart through, trying to, I guess, have not map control, but at least get some early information on potentially what 100 Thieves are trying to pull here. But I think it was really good for also now not to shoot that dart, nor even peek it. Now, they'll be fighting for it again. With the recon dart used, they really got nothing for their trouble, 5 Emperors. Not the best start, but this is how they won their first round, staying even at about the minute mark. A burst is going to be coming soon, however, and that's going to be the real scary thing.
You go with the drone on a spot out anything here. They're not going to opt into that slow up. No, Sean going to stop that push. It was the Trojan horse up short, but Sean Peasy sits him down. Now the resurrection comes through, but still down a man is 100 Thieves. And you have to think 5 Emperors are feeling themselves as the 3K comes through, and Sai is there to back him up. No heals, no res, no sage as Dicey falls. And once more, it's all up to the clutch king, Hiko. Gonna take that teleporter with the spike. Little does he know, he'll be running into Dinks on the site. We'll see if we can come out on top. Inside the tube, there's the flash, there's the kill. And the slow playstyle, once more stunted. 5 Emperors have that book read.
And once again, a great read. Obviously, at the end of the day, it was Sean Peasy finding that immediate double that forced the resurrection out from Dicey. But I think that's something that maybe 100 Thieves are not going to exactly be able to fully counter, because this is not usually the same comp that they're running. Again, as I mentioned before, a lot of times they run a Phoenix. It's not uncommon at all. In fact, I'd say it's probably the most common strat on A to do nowadays is a flame wall across that angle that Sean Peasy was watching. It doesn't completely deny the opportunity of that happening, but it makes it a hell of a lot harder. So 5 Emperors maybe gifted that opportunity in some ways. You try to stem the wound, and again, 100 Thieves are wonderful at doing it. Let's see if this round is going to be maybe their boon that they're chasing. Hunter's Fury used for 5 Emperors. Want to mention that as well. It got only a tag, nothing more. Especially considering that tag can be healed up. It's overall not a really good trade.
This time a bit quicker on the push. One gets spotted out. Sean, this time around, though, finds 2, but not going to find the kills. The information ultimate goes through that Neural Theft. Tags everybody out, and they're all on the opposite side of the map. Now 5 Emperors in a 4v5 with a From the Shadows available. Have to find their way back into this. Matsuna going to queue up the paint shells as soon as he hears. Nice little jump peek in the back of Halls. Inks holding it through the smoke. On the flank, nothing. Hopefully doesn't find nothing this time around. Been having an unfortunate game. There's the paint shell's going to find some damage. The flash getting 0 value because they couldn't push off the back. But on the flank, nothing will go that paranoia to stop everybody towards Garden from
This is huge.
out of hookah. Another one. Silence will finally silence him, and 100 Thieves pick up 2 more to follow. Dicey to find the last, and it was looking good for a moment with the stalwart defense and the post plant from 100 Thieves once more.
It looks good for a moment, but nothing more. It was well played, patient by 5 Emperors, but at the end of the day, that discipline, and something you're going to hear me hammer in every single round almost at some points, but 100 Thieves have a great grasp on the fundamentals. They traded each other out perfectly, and were in almost unstoppable post-plant positions, where they were kind of accounting for the factor that, hey, maybe there is a flank, maybe our hookah does get taken down. They had a plan ready. And this is what 100 Thieves, I mean, this is what makes them one of the most winningest teams in North America, at least in the recent history of Valorant, that is. They're just so good at this sort of thing. Asuna once again has a showstopper up. This is probably going to be that double satchel play that I mentioned previously. If he even needs to use it. This site seems free of charge.
5 Emperors find themselves with pistols once more, unfortunately. There's the call, though. They are going to look to make that play. Should they fire it over towards? Is going to find a double kill. Nabaki and Dinks, for some reason, peeking that one. Sean trying to sit nice and tight here. He's able to trade that kill out. Delay the plant for now with only a stinger. Asuna going to pick up a third. Maybe not necessary, but hey, at the end of the day, 100 Thieves, they explode onto the site quite literally, and they grab another round. It feels so bad at this point. The only 2 rounds that are picked up is when they find a way to scrape everybody off the list and leave it all up to Hiko in a 1v3. And look at that. Just both of them right on top of each other. Nowhere to go. And I think you just take your hands off your mouse and keyboard at that point.
It's so frustrating because I really like how 5 Emperors, obviously they don't hear me, but they have the same idea for what they should be focusing on. They had 3 players stacked out over towards B long. It was completely deserted. 100 Thieves said screw it to the idea of actually pushing towards there. And I mean, you saw the deadly results. 5 Emperors, again, when they've been given that space, given that respect, they have looked better. But at the end of the day, you have to remember this is a huge upset, and that must be very upsetting for Asuna, losing a crazy peak like that, as Sean Peasy seems to be standing out to me once more. Has that neural theft online? It's too early to pop it, I feel, but I'm wondering if he wants to try to maybe think about chasing down that body in the future, you know, get a good idea of where this setup is going to be from 100 Thieves. Because look, they're in a conga line formation, ready to push into B.
Deploying drone.
Hookah seeming to be the favorite here for the calls and for the plays. A couple going to push right in to that cyber cage. They do spot out the camera. Dark goes up on top as well. Not going to spot Sean out here. This could be another big angle. Not going to find that kill. Not going to find that one either. It's Nabaki from the back from downtown picking up 3 here. You give him a rifle, you give him an inch, and they'll surely take a mile. Now it's all up to Steel, who was on the lurk in a 1v5. Spike down on the side. 5 Emperors looking to bag another round here against the First Strike champions. Sada sits Steel down after he finds one. So a bit of damage to the economy, and I don't think 5 Emperors are in the best spot when it comes to that economy. But at the end of the day, you take what you can get, and it doesn't matter how you get there. It just matters that you got there.
At the end, you know, it's the destination that matters the most here. It's not about the journey, despite what that pop Emperors. I don't know. At the moment, not too much to report, as once again, 100 Thieves showing a bit of discipline, showing a bit of respect, but once again grouping up outside of A, leaving nothing towards B.
See Dicey with the lineup again. This one does land out over towards U-Haul. And yeah, this could be a bait play like you expected. Steel, though, not the first to the sight line. He is the first to find that kill. The Hunter Shuri that was just picked up. Not going to find too much, but the A site being held down by 5 Emperors for a moment longer. Nabaki on the rotate. Didn't get anything with the Hunter Shuri, but he's going to do it with his rifle. Now, Hiko, it's a bit more doable. It's his third 1v3 in this game alone. Now a 1v2. He's got the Shark Darts, can play off site. Unfortunately, not very close to that Hunter Shuri. Can look to grab some info.
One orb away, or 1 point. Anything could happen, Tanner. That's the magic of Valorant. That's the magic of Hiko.
That is the magic of Hiko. I love that right there. Is both on the site. It spots out one, but it didn't spot out the second. He tries to swing wide. Unfortunately, there's just two of them there. Hiko will fall once more. And I mean, you can't be the warm-up king, or the clutch king, rather, all year round for the entirety of everything, every single tournament. You know, he's got to warm up to it. Now that he's been in a few clutch situations, he's going to be feeling good. Those are his clutch deathmatch that he just played. Next time we see it, I've got 100 from 5 Emperors if they could go 7-5 at the half. At the very least, even if this game starts to go the other way when we swap sides, you can say, hey, at the half, the reigning kings in 100 Thieves, we took them 7-5 on their best map. It's rifles across the board, except for Dicey, who's going to be sitting onto that Spectre. And we'll see if 100 Thieves decide to play it slow once more.
It's the final round of the half. I also want to mention to you, and there are 6 ultimates, sorry, 7 actually. They just picked up an ult orb, I believe, in play. You're going to see this get really messy and possibly a little hard to follow, and you're going to see the results almost instantly pay off. 100 Thieves, this is their bread and butter. They are so good at overwhelming, and Silence, he fits in perfectly. He's not even on the main roster, but my god, you would never be able to tell with how he's been doing, setting up amazing paranoias for his team. But speaking of blinding effects here, Dinks will try to toss his curveball out to maybe make something more happen with that run it back, but he doesn't find anything. Tanner still not done yet. Nabaki, now he's going to be in for a fight.
Yeah, a whole lot more doable now in the 2v3. And now it's all up to the enemy Sova here to try and find the clutch as Hiko sits him down, maybe feeling a little salty after a couple of 1v3s. Either way, 100 Thieves, they go back to it. It feels, and this again, you know, I'm peanut brain play-by-play here, but it feels like 100 Thieves are so conflicted as to whether or not they want to play just the normal style, let's play it slow, let's play defaults, or let's just run and gun and get it done, because it feels they keep bouncing back and forth. But when they do run and gun, they do exactly that, get it done, as we see these kills come on through. Just clean across the board. You talked about Silence. That kill was so clean towards the back of the site.
I also want to mention, you know, Hiko, he's a clutch king, but just to kind of replay something in the past, I have to say, 5 Emperors, you know, they are playing some of these situations really well. That 2v1 against Hiko, they had a really good idea of what to do. But now they're going to be attacking. It becomes infinitely more difficult, because this is where 100 Thieves really shined in some of the past matches that we've seen against Envy. I think they posted a 12-0 half and ended up 13-0ing in the later stages of that game. And, well, it looks like we're already trying to speed run this pistol round. It's 4-8. I can say very, very confidently that it's soon to be 4-9. They at least pick up that ultimate orb, the 2 remaining members of 5 Emps, but from there, what can you hope for? Maybe a nice lucky gunfight? Maybe a spike plant? Maybe something a little bit more. There's a fight and there's a spike plant. That's definitely those check marks picked, but only for so long. Now Asana's getting involved. It's done. You were talking about before how fast they move, how suffocating they are. That right there is the prime example.
Asuna with 1 bullet left in the magazine gets close and personal on that spike plant, finds that headshot to close it out. And that right there is one of those moments that just feels bad, right? How close are you to getting that spike down? How close are you to getting some extra credits for your team? Quite possibly opting into a force here in this one. Now, it does still feel like they're headed that way, but those extra credits definitely would have helped. And 5 Emperors, they got to get it done right here. It's looking like double digits for 100 Thieves, and it's a B hit. Some utility going to be used in this one. Dicey able to slow things down. Nice paint shells to clear him out for just a moment. You see the trap wire that should be stopping everybody coming from Hookah, and the smoke, the slow, all the utility, the wall inside Hookah, it's completely stunted this push here. It looked quick until it wasn't.
Get that spike, too. It's close to maybe inching up over towards A main. I'm sure nothing is going to wait for contact, but at what point does this become entirely telegraphed? This is the perfect setup for a TP play. I mean, you notice how the Raze and Sova are basically knocking on the door of it, saying, hey, let us in. They're just going to try to sell this fake as best they can, but this burst has to be amazing from 5 Emperors, considering the artillery that they have in their hands. It actually matches up relatively well. They forced up something we mentioned before, Tanner. Oh, that voice crack. That was really something.
Unfortunately, 100 Thieves don't take the bait, but they do take the first man down. Sean Peasy gonna pick that up, and Silence trying to make his way out of U-Haul to help his team. One of the only members here now, Hiko, coming to back him up. It's Stingers, it's SMGs, it's a ghost in the hands of Dicey. For 100 Thieves to try and get this. Now they're down 2 members. This 4 starting to pay off, but Dicey, one still far from the res, has the heal available and a second kill to his name. The Battle Sage living up title. As the heal goes through, the shots come down, and the Stinger has to reload. Dicey for 3 with the ghost. Sean still alive, so you have to be wary. It's 2 HP on Navaki. It's a 3K for Sean. Can he make it another? He just has to buy time. Hiko needs to clutch up. He grabs the kill, but he should not have time. He's going to try and walk away with the best that he can in that Spectre. And the Ghost, I think they're at the end, but 5 Hemps. Hey, everybody died, but you still got the round win.
It doesn't matter how bloody it is, as long as you get that number there at the top. 5 Emperors, that force finally pays off. I mean, considering the monolith that you're up against, if you would, it can be so scary to justify, you know, not just respecting it, going for a pistol save, and then buying up 3rd round. No, they said, hey, Stingers will do the trick. Sean Peasy finding that opening kill on the Sentinel, mind you, was almost round-changing. I mean, it was a little bit more round-changing, this 3K that Dicey got. As I mentioned, it's really bloody, but 5 Emperors, now they're in a really bad spot economically, and 100 Thieves, I mean, they can still probably have a pretty nice artillery coming towards them very soon. You can see, there it is, the Vandal coming into play, gets 1 kill, but somehow, a long-range Stinger actually does the trick to trade him out. Numbers actually in favor of 5 Emperors, now down to 4 Emperors.
I do not understand the Stinger. That is a gun I will just never understand. The Frenzy kind of in the same boat. Unfortunately, didn't work out like the Stinger did for Asuna, but man, that gun is, yeah, it is something else, and it just finds a way to get it done here. Yeah, now Steel on the flank has that sight line. Should they look to push on up? He needs to remain patient. No, he fires out the first shot and killed no matter. 5 Emperors might be able to string a couple in a row here. As you said, down to 4 Emperors. There's 100 Thieves down to 2 Thieves left. Trying to steal this round away with what battered economy they had. And it's all up to Hiko. I said it, and maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe I cast or curse him or jinxed him. But he's due for a clutch in one of these rounds. Low HP working against the clock as he pushes up towards heaven. Should be spotted out momentarily. He's going to pick up one. There's the burst to come down. First kill. As he's got some utility, he's going to spot the head of nothing. And unfortunately, Kant with his bow in his hands and his pants at his ankles. 5 Emperors grab another round. Still trailing 3. It's nice to string a couple together.
And it was kind of a weird buy from 100 Thieves at the same time, because look at what's on the menu for them this time around. Well, you had at least a little bit of a glimpse at it. God, let's just look at this whiff one more time, though. That was very unfortunate. Happens to the best of us. But anyway, to get back to brass tacks here, they don't really have much to offer. They have pistols in their hand once more, and we saw how it's kind of worked out for them so far. Another Stinger in play, and Dicey, mind you, he has absolutely nothing invested. I think we're going to be seeing an operator very soon.
Nice TP play. The camera, the spray down. Dinks is going to get one. A beautiful cage to try and slow things down, and now Sean Peasy just going to go right into the fray. He walks into another Stinger, and they find another couple of kills. Although the economy wasn't great, it was pretty shaky on both sides. So a solid round pickup here, as it's all up to Hiko once more. Looks like he's got a sheriff in his hands. He gets spotted out and taken down. That is tactical shooter timing at its finest. 5 Emperors pick up another one. I mean, this is, you know what? I don't want to say too much. I don't want to say too much because it has been an awkward round, or it has been an awkward half with the forces coming the way that they came and the economy being super weird, the arsenal being super weird. But now, as you stated, Ito, they've got that operator online.
I just don't really 100% know what to expect. I mean, judging by what they have set up right now, it's going to be kind of one of their prime B long takes, but they don't have the paranoia set up, and I'm so used to seeing that, really, from 100 Thieves, so they're changing things up here. I really kind of like how they're innovating. You know, again, maybe you don't have to 100% take this game seriously, but considering how close it's actually gotten between the team of relative no-namers, if you would, they're looking to innovate once more, and there it is. Beautiful paranoia to take over Showers. Steel finds a kill for his trouble and somehow gets out to tell the tale. 1 point of health. I can already see the Twitch chat spamming 1, and how could you not? He gets away with murder.
So feels bad, man, to say the least. They're 1 HP separating Nabaki from a shock dart kill, and Dicey not getting a whole lot here.
Aggro. He's so aggro, though. This is ridiculous for a Sage.
That's the Battle Sage Zoomer mentality. Just keep moving forward. There's a line drawn, though. There is a line drawn. He's not going any further than long. He is just going to hang out and head on back to the site finally and maybe saying his prayers in that one. Getting lucky. Somebody had a guardian angel saying, please don't walk out towards Hookah or you will get shot with that operator. Now with 30 seconds on the clock,
this read.
being down a member. Yeah, the rotate coming over from 100 Thieves. Steal once more on the flake, trying to right his wrongs. Asuna with the paint shells and a beautiful tag from Hiko. He's going to net that first kill onto nothing. That's the spike down right in front is Steel, though. There's the flank paying off, but it's back and forth across the board. Now in a 1v2. A very winnable round, and as I say that, you spoke it, Ito. The time is not in the favor of 5 Emperors as Hiko sits down the imposter once more. Whether it was kills, whether it was the spike, 5 Emperors were destined to lose that round.
And they moved their way into double digits as well. Crazy antics there from 100 Thieves. It felt like they were so close to going down. I really think, you know, Silenx, has been slotting in so perfectly from Nitro because it's really similar to the kind of roles that we've seen both of them play. It makes sense because they're on the same operator, or the same agent, There is an operator in play, but that's completely besides the point. But he's been setting up amazing paranoias over towards Showers, and it looks like they're actually having a bit more focus. They're only sending a dart through, but this is the same setup that they did last time, only it's completely deserted. Remember, when I talk about how 100 Thieves innovates, this is what I mean. It's small little changes that just really mess with the minds of 5 Emperors. It's working out perfectly. Spike down immediately. I don't really think that changes all too much, except for the fact that they're now down a very vital player. No smokes in play, Tanner.
Couple of ultimates available, though. The cages, cyber cages, could also be used, but not necessarily as quite as valuable as those smokes, like you pointed out. And Dicey once more getting aggressive, and he's going to pay off for him. Dicey now able to back away. The wall is up, and the Sage is out. Dicey coming up huge, finally getting value for having that operator, that 5,000 credit investment. And the Emperors, once more, find themselves down another player here in a 3v5, and they're going to be running out of time. 35 on the clock, and they have to just pull the trigger.
How's Asuna already in market, though, man? This guy is going shopping mid-execute. Time is of the essence here. At this point, I'm kind of thinking 5 Emperors would rather just save on their guns, because the numbers aren't in their favor for starters. But hey, everything has to begin with 1 kill, 1 shot, 1 opportunity, if you would. But I'm not going to try to plagiarize lyrics here. I'm going to try to figure out what they can do. And the answer is not too much. Hiko is there behind, ready to shut things down. And it's a save, albeit only with 1 player. Nabaki, he doesn't even get to save the rifle. This is a huge dilemma now. 5 Emperors, they can at least get another buy-in, but the money, it's starting to kind of dry up a tiny bit. If they lose this, they're probably going to need to, you know, stay a little bit frugal.
There.
Jeez. Dicey. What a perfect kill, too. One thing I want to mention real quick before I bring it back over to you, Tanner, is that is a crash course on how to isolate your angles. I know it's a small thing, but, you know, there's 2 players watching that same angle, and yet he only found the one and managed to, again, get out and live to tell the tale. That is massive. It's the small things that make the difference.
That play is a play that you expect to, hey, trade this kill, right? But just the way that Dicey peaked, kind of what you were highlighting, is they made it to where it was favorable for him no matter what. Now it looks like we're trading ultimates up in the air. They will go Asuna. Going to be the only one to find the kill. As Nabaki trying to do what he can, and I respect Sai going for the point blank and maybe panicking a bit. Now nothing trying to
That's
get
huge.
away, but nothing to be found as Asuna peeks. Dicey finds another. That's down to the last man here. Nabaki will fall. Hiko to clean it up, and match point for 100 Thieves.
Match point.
I said before that that was a heartbreaker, or at least had the idea that it was a heartbreaker, but this one is truly crushing. Tanner, they had 5 ultimates at the beginning of that last round, and now they only have the Neural Theft. They used 4 ultimates, and what did they get for it? 1 kill? Maybe 2? It's not a really good trade if you ask me. I cannot believe just the amount of unfortunate things that 5 Emperors, excuse me, kind of had to undergo in that round, but it's beautifully played by 100 Thieves. You can't argue against it. They're up to 12 rounds and are looking to take map number 1 in a not too unsurprising result, but just in the fashion that some of these rounds are being lost by 5 Emperor surely has to sting a tiny bit if you're a fan of some of these players on the roster. 2 ultimates, including a resurrection on 100 Thieves. But the forecast seems awfully gloomy for 5 Emperors as they have had to buy up everything they can, including a Bulldog, which actually does prove to be relatively lethal.
Yeah, nice purchase there. That Bulldog taking down the operator. Dicey completely caught off guard, maybe not expecting somebody to be in that corner. Now 100 Thieves find themselves. It's been quite some time since they've been on the back foot. And a player down as Hiko queuing up the lineup here for that recon bolt. He's going to opt out of that decision. No, he is going to go for it here, and we'll see how much information he can get as 5 Emperors look to storm the site. All 5 standing strong. From the back side, Hiko just trying to spray through the smoke. Needs to be careful. That spike now planted. 100 Thieves working against the clock, and Steel evens the odds. A beautiful shot to come on through. Nabaki is able to trade it back. A nice headshot there will pop the Grape of Steel. Now Hiko pushing up the post plant in 4 different areas. The kills being traded back and forth. 100 Thieves looking to close it out, but they're all down to Asuna, and it's 5 Emperors to find another.
Stay alive on obviously one of the most important rounds of the game. They're up against match point, for Christ's sake. They looked great while doing it. 1 fatality through it, and they were in control of that entire round, it felt like. It's what you said, Tanner, that 100 Thieves for the first time in a while were on the back foot. Great duels won by Nabaki in particular, completely, changed the record. And now, 5 Emperors, they're playing a completely new tune. It could end here. That's what's so scary, though. Again, still things are heavily in favor of 100 Thieves just by the ultimates alone. The eco hasn't quite welled up yet, or dried up yet, excuse me. Still have a decent amount of wealth in their pockets, and they definitely have the shots to match. Dicey finds the first and possibly one of the final frags of map number 1, and Asuna probably there to find maybe another nail to drive into the coffin as we enter probably the last stages of this game, unless we see another miracle happen, Tanner.
It does feel like it would take a miracle. Steel
Paranoia.
now mixing up the angles here. Sprays down nothing. That's the spike down. The cage goes out to 100 Thieves. They've got the info. They've got the kills. They've got the 3-player advantage. And they're looking to close things out. The VCT starting off with a 100 Thieves win. Because it's all down to Sean Peasy. If anybody can get it done, it's Sean. He's going to spray it on one. The boombot comes on through. But it's silenced through the wall. And it's 100 Thieves to pick up right where they left off.
Well, that is exactly what you can expect out of the reigning champions. A beautiful, beautiful performance from them, excuse me. And 5 Emperors. We're talking a lot, we're gassing up the other side, 100 Thieves, but 5 Emperors had some really good notable moments there. When they were playing a little bit slower, 100 Thieves seemed to be caught off guard. Really strong setups, I'd say. As a whole, considering this is the best map for 100 Thieves, at least statistically, that's not too bad of a performance. I'm not saying we're going to be seeing this be a reverse sweep on maps 2 and 3, but it has at least some of the makings of a potential, regulation overtime game. I don't know. I think it could definitely go closer.
I think you put up more of a fight than we've seen a lot of teams do against 100 Thieves. So I can't imagine 5 Emperors are holding their heads or holding their heads down, hanging their heads rather, And it's something that you mentioned, I believe, a couple of times, but it's the small things, right? There are very few times and very small minor things that could have been changed in that game where we would see rounds go the way of 5 Emperors. So I think as a team who's kind of just throwing their name in the pot and trying to do what they can in the round of 128, things aren't looking as bad as it may seem, although a 13-7 in that one puts 100 Thieves in the lead. Now, with that being said, we are going to be headed over, I believe, to Ascent for map number 2. That is going to be a 5 Emperors map pick. Ito, before we hop away for a second, thoughts on that one?
I've already been impressed by 5 Emperors. I'm not going to say they're going to take it because predictions are just so hard to make against, you know, one of the arguable best teams in NA. But I think it could go the distance.
I agree. It could go the distance. Ascent, a very popular map across the board from all of these teams, but we do have to hop away. Guys, when we come back, the VCT will resume in map number 2 here in the round of 128 between 100 Thieves and 5 Emperors.
What sound experience would you like today?
I'll have the fantasy pack.
Good choice.
And could you make it a Cloud 2 wireless?
On his way, sir.
Sounds amazing.
I feel like I need to defend my scene's honor here, because this is just turning into a bit of a dog battle.
Like in groups always look.
I'm cutting you off here. I'm cutting you off. Cutting you off. He said G2's winning it. He said G2's winning it.
Need to wait till the next EU tournament, which could be in about 10 years now.
Take it with like a grain of salt.
No,
but
that's
that
no
being
fun.
said,
Take it super literally.
Spike defused.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're right back at it here. It was a victory for 100 Thieves on Bind. Now we're jumping over to Ascent to see who can get things done. It's 100T. It's 5 Emperors. I'm still Tanner Metro. I'm still joined by Kieran Ito Price. And that first map, I think it went the way everybody was expecting, but 5 Emperors, they put up a pretty solid fight.
Yeah, they definitely had some really solid rounds, something to look back on the VOD and kind of reminisce about, hey, you know, remember that time where we were really close to actually getting some really solid rounds off of the best team, one of the best teams, I should say, in North America? It was great. Here's a couple of highlights just to go ahead and give you an idea, you know, visualize yourself in the game if you're unable to catch everything. And, you know, 100 Thieves, obviously they're going to be the favorites in this situation, but there is a lot of positives to take away. And now you're heading into your map pick, Ascent, which, I'll be honest, statistically is still really good for 100 Thieves, but maybe we can see something a little bit more promising, Tanner.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I would think that going into 100 Thieves' best map, this is kind of how things look. Now when you're in a spot where you're a bit more comfortable, unfortunately we don't have all the info on 5 Emperors to see where they feel most comfortable with this map pick. And man, just to pause real quick, that shot did not look like it hit on my screen. I don't know about you guys, but Dicey just somehow, some way gets it done, and there's the close. But now that we're headed over to Ascent, this has been a map I feel like since it was released, everybody feels the most comfortable on Ascent. In best of ones and best of threes, it's typically that map pick, and so many teams you can say they do well on Ascent. They have a higher win percentage on Ascent. We see that all the time. Now we're getting that in a team where if you're not the most comfortable with the map in itself or against a certain team, you know, you fall back on where you are comfortable. And now we get to see 5 Emperors do just that. And I think as far as balance goes, Ascent, Ito, it feels really balanced.
It does feel, but it does feel balanced, excuse me. I actually don't have the statistics to back it up, exactly that claim, but I really think it kind of fits 100 Thieves style of those really sick mid-round calls from them. You know, there's a lot of opportunities for great info plays. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we were to see, you know, aggro darts through B main or something, and then maybe someone solo pushing to try to, you know, find enough info to completely gamble a site. I think 100 Thieves could treat this as their playground, if you would. And the stats kind of match up for them because this is their second most winning map at 62, I believe it is, compared to the 71 or something of Bind. So they've played this map a ton, and they're really good on it still, despite it being the map pick of the enemies, that being 5 Emperors.
So now with this being a different map, obviously, than Bind, this one having a mid that you can play through, what are we expecting as far as compositions? It sounds like we are jumping right on in to see the agent select here. I don't think we get the Sage, unfortunately, and that makes me a little sad.
I don't think we do unless they're feeling real spicy. I'm seeing the Yoru hovered, which, yes, that is tournament legal, by the way. This is going to be the first time that we're seeing Yoru. I mean, okay, wow, we are seeing the Sage. Interesting. I was going to say it's very likely that we see a Jet, but it's still the round of 128. It's not, I guess, all too unsurprising to maybe see a little bit more of an emphasis on trying out new compositions. Even when Sage was at her best, it wasn't all too uncommon to see her maybe neglected a little bit on Ascent. I know there's a couple of teams that in her heyday would completely, you know, give up on actually even trying to run her. I think T1 is the one that comes to mind. So it's interesting to see the Sage. It's not a throw pick or anything, but definitely not part of the usual menu, if you would, for 100 Thieves.
Definitely not a part of that usual menu, and this gets me so much more excited now that 100 Thieves, they're trying to, you know, gain some ground with some agent compositions that they can mix up and play on other maps. I would think that if Sage works here on Ascent, no matter what the team, but if Dicey can make it look good here, what is stopping them from not only playing that on Icebox and Split as well? I think that it looks like 100 Thieves, it could just be the silence factor, you know, having maybe falling back on comfortability and that Sage having the res, having the heal, kind of making the team feel a bit more comfortable. But that could be 4 maps where we could quite possibly, and I mean, I guess we could talk about Haven too, but 4 maps where 100 Thieves could play that Sage, and you always have to be thinking about that. That is such a huge X factor for these guys as we look to kick things off underway. It's going to be a stack up towards A main here for 100 Thieves to try and get some early kills.
Well, you have to imagine that they're going to not ban Split if we're even going to see Sage on Split. I want to mention I actually did do a little bit of research, and they actually have played Sage once in the past against FaZe, which was a 13-10 loss, and that was during First Strike, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Twitch chat. It's not unexpected. It looks like they actually have practiced this before, and they're going to be once again relying on trying to take some early fights. Very similar to this kind of T-side aggression that we saw, or sorry, attacker-sided aggression in map number 1, but this time they're doing it on the defense. And they've actually gotten a little bit of a step up. Quick push from 5 Emperors as they look to go in towards B. Steel playing contact off of his turret, and things could get real bloody here, Tanner.
Steel might not even be needed there in the back. The Silence going to find one up towards mid. There he goes. Now on the board is Steel. Nothing going to trade it back, so getting on the board a bit earlier here. Definitely helping kick things off. And unfortunately, nothing. You got to find a whole lot of something as Hiko going to find the shock dart kill. No better way to end that round. The spike planted, though, so we're already seeing, you know, the better half here of this pistol round going the way of 5 Emperors. They're going to have some extra credits, and we could quite possibly once more see that force coming on through.
We'll have to go ahead and keep a nice little eye out for it. It seems Frenzy's bought up. They're not really believing in the idea. They don't want to test their luck, if you would. But I think what was kind of interesting to note there is I feel like every time we've watched Nothing, he always has his paranoia late into the round. It does, I don't know, maybe it's something about how 5 Emperors are structuring their rounds, but it feels like he always has it for these clutches every time that he's alive in a 2v5 or a 1v5 or something like that. I don't know, I'm hoping that we see a little bit more of a emphasis on paranoia plays, because I think it could be possibly the trick that 5 Emperors are needed. But it's not the start that they needed, that is for sure. Once again, we're going to have a little bit more of a focus on Nothing, as it seems that they originally wanted to try to pester over towards Catwalk, but as that drone came through, they're going to back off and re-push a little bit later. There it is.
And not a whole lot of info gained. They know that they were there with that Download drone going out, but it was the Classic that took it down. So maybe they're not privy to the force just yet. Nabuki actually going to have a Spectre, so the better half of the SMGs. Some would say, you know, the Stinger, just doing Stinger things sometimes gets the job done as well, as it's looking like another mid push. No utility going to be tossed out this way just yet, but they do have Silence waiting in the wings for this one to make sure nobody comes on through market. Close corner with an SMG. Should find contact onto 2. Dinks can be the first to peek. No, it's not. It's going to be Nothing, and Dinks there to trade it. He'll be able to retrieve that spike, and now looking to head out onto this B site once more. That paranoia once more not going to be available for the push. Dinks just trying to inch on through. Steel with a close angle and an Ares to sit him down. It's 2 kills from the site, and it's 100 Thieves once more picking up another round.
I didn't even originally see that force come through from 5 Emperors because it felt so last second. But that is the big worry that you have every time you force up, much less against 100 Thieves, is that what if you lose it? This is what you're going to be seeing. A terrible, broken yard sale buy and not amazing chances for 5 Emperors. They have surprised me before. They did it a ton of times on Bind, but with pistols and on map number 2, it's seeming a little less likely. But you know, you always have to have a reason to watch, and I think, I'm hoping at least, that they can provide it right here. They're looking to push immediately towards A main. It doesn't seem to be going their way again, Tanner. The action, it begins so quickly, and it might end even quicker. 3 kills immediately for Asuna. Backs up, gets out of dodge, and 5 Emperors, they're left wondering what went wrong.
1 enemy remaining.
The aggression. I mean, this is what I wrote down in my notes here for 100 Thieves was it seemed like they were torn in that first map. Do we play it slow? Do we play it fast? Now it seems like they figured out exactly when to play it fastest. Hiko snakes away the 4K there from Asuna. But another 100T round. And I'm interested to see the economy. Okay, it is going to be full buys across the board. Full armor for this attacking squad as well. And 5 Emperors, they got to try and do something here. You saw for a moment an operator flexed into the hands of Dicey. I don't know if he is going to opt into that one, like you said, Ito. It is looking to be just another bonus round. You hang on to what you have because, hey, why not? It's been working.
Right here. This is going to be incredibly important for 5 Emperors, however. This is going to be their best chance to get, not a freebie round, but a round on the board when it's a most Mostly in Eco, that is. Hiko has bought up a Vandal, so he does have some pretty heavy hitting weaponry. But for the most part, 100 Thieves, they're not really going to be evenly matched up against the Emperors. So maybe it's time for them to assert their reign and maybe get an early round on the board. Keep this as competitive as you can during the early stages of Ascent, or else you might get single eliminated.
Speaking of eliminations, that was awfully close now, unfortunately. Sean Peasy gonna have no way to try and take that fight once more as that Sage Wall gonna go up. It does get shot down, and he's still hanging out here on the lurk. It looks like the hit, not necessarily going towards A, but 5 Emperor's due diligence to try and bait out some utility, try and bait out some rotations as they look once more to push up towards mid. They should be answered by Hiko. Gonna be holding it down. Market door closed as well. And Hiko actually with the jump peek there is able to spot one. Try and tag him through the wall. Does get a bit of damage. Once more, it's on to nothing. Who has that spike in his hands. Now with 30 seconds. 5 Emperors, they like to dance with the clock here and they're running out of time. They just have to Trojan horse on out and it's not going their way. It's all Hiko. It's all 100 Thieves. And it's another rifle round to fall by the wayside.
Oh. That's just a rough one from 5 Emperors. That door, I mean, surprisingly, that felt like the 6th member for 100 Thieves at some points. That paranoia that went through from nothing, it was used just to mainly get market control, but I think it also would have blinded if anyone was playing close outside of it, which isn't too uncommon to see on rounds like the one that 100 Thieves had put together, which was, for the most part, stingers. But that was a great read by 100 Thieves, because one thing that I want to point out that happened is that when we were watching Nabuki's POV, you saw Dart go out onto A. It's a very standard dart that you use on most executes, but 100T did not rotate. They were so disciplined because they knew it was either potentially fake or, I mean, they could handle it just with those 2 players that they had at site. It's the discipline that's making the difference, at least so far, for 100 Thieves. 5 Emperors look to conga line up towards Catwalk and maybe overwhelm Silence.
And it's the discipline for me. Zito at Silence
Paranoia.
Gonna remain disciplined here. Now pushing through the smoke. Has another one to worry about. Is able to take down the blades, but it's gonna be traded back almost immediately. Hiko.
Huge.
With that Hunter's Fury, the spike goes down, planted in an awkward spot, the backside of the generator. The Emperors now only on 2 members. That recon bolt goes down. Nabuki just gonna do everything he can to try and delay the defuse, but Steel sticks it. 100 Thieves win it. The 5 Emperors got to go right back to the drawing board as Sean Peasy was trying to inch out anything he could on the end. They do damage the economy by 1, and Dicey is still sitting on that barrier orb for a score in that kills section. So there's small victories for 5 Emperors, but unfortunately being down 5 rounds is not where you want to be.
Not at all, but at least there is a light at the end of this tunnel. It's another buy up here. But, I mean, that light could be easily dimmed when you notice that Dicey has also brought in that operator to play with. Again, hopefully find that first kill. Once again, 5 Emperors want to full send it towards A. This time it's even more one-dimensional than that last round we saw. They're not keeping anyone over towards Catwalk for potentially a late pick or, you know, just some sort of semblance of map control. They want to full send it directly through a main. Incredible risk that they're making here, but potentially a really nice payoff. They need to find this opening kill, though, or if nothing else, at least trade each other out. The execute probably will begin on the mark of the start or the smoke going through, so pay attention to that, because 100 Thieves sure as hell have. They're bringing another player over, and another one's on its way. Here comes a push right on in. 5 Emperors, they're already in on the site so aggressively.
Inks lives up to his name, finds a couple of kills, or a couple of headshots as Steel finds a couple. Now going to be traded back, and Nabuki off the site looking for the Hunter's Fury. Unfortunately, only finds a bit of damage. Now, for 5 Emperors, this is arguably one of the most precarious places to be. Down not only a player, but that spike is sitting nice and proper on this A site. Both Owl drones traded out there, and 2 members hanging out. One gonna be tagged. You already know he's there, so it's not the end of the world to give that information up, but do they know that the Jet is hanging out over towards Wine? Dinks got into the site and out of the site. Nice and easy like now. Dicey in a bad spot, though. Hiko from downtown finds a kill on to Dinks, the man I was once praising, and Hiko finds another. So Dicey drops the operator. Hiko will pick it up, and I don't know if he still remains killless. He does, but that's okay because 5 Emperors still remain winless.
Well, you know, it's all about the impact that you provide, and I think, you know, there's even that one voice line, that cheesy voice line that you hear every time that you seemingly have a bad day in Valorant, where it doesn't matter if you're having a bad day, you can still contribute to help your team win, or something of the sort. I'm not the voice actor here. I mean, it reigns true there. 4 assists already. He's been providing some great slow orbs, and obviously the heal is nothing short of notable. And finally he gets a kill. It takes a little while, but he finally comes online, and everybody else, especially on the 5 Emperors side, seem to be going offline. You have yet to pick up a win, and I don't think this is the round that it's going to happen. They have gotten that trade frag, Tanner, and that is huge, but they haven't been able to come out on top of almost any situation. And it's just so rough. I'm not trying to downplay them. I'm just saying, this is not a winning recipe on paper.
I mean, you're spitting facts there. 6 rounds to 0. I don't think you can argue that. Still going to peek on out, playing the wonky corners the entire game. Steel and hanging out just where you will not expect him. Now, Dicey looking for another one. That shot going to go wide left once more. And he is going to back away. Not opting in, giving up a kill against the operator. Nope, he's going to go right back to it. There's no wall boost. That one going to miss to the right. The next one surely will be right down the middle. Unless Hiko takes this one away.
Good
it's a
paranoia.
2v4. A winnable round if they can pick up a couple of kills here. But Dicey finally tracks down his prey. Will finally take him down and finds another through the box. Pops the grape of dinks. It's a 3K in this round. It's a 7th round win by 100 Thieves. And 5 Emperors on their map pick, Eco, are looking really dicey here.
I don't know my name was Eco. Come on, man. But, I mean, it's not quite an Eco. If you want to go ahead and, you know, maybe be realistic with the economy here. 5 Emperors, I mean, they have plenty going their way when it comes to rifles. Not so much kills, but they have some decent ultimates. Right off the bat, I mean, I have to mention that they have the lockdown in play. It's so standard that you see a lockdown execute, and I think it's going to be their best bet to maybe pick up a first here. But it's not the initial take that's worrying for 5 Emperors. It's what comes after. And 100 Thieves are lethal in those scenarios, if they can even make it the late round. Asuna doesn't seem to be sticking with the trend as he's gone down first. And this is a notable time. The first time in, I think, this entire game where 100 Thieves have been on the back foot by a decent margin. To even things up, though, of course, it's going to be Silenx. I don't even know why I was worried. Right back into form will be 100 Thieves as they take that man lead back. And now 5 Emperors, I mean, they have to burst out onto the A site. Expectedly, but I'm saying they can take the site. It's what comes after, Tanner, that's so scary.
And Dink's doing such a good job to kick the round off in favor of 5 Emperors. And Silenx just fitting so well into this roster for 100 Thieves right now, like a glove, making sure that 5 Emperors aren't running away with too much. Down a member as that Recon Dart goes through. Not gonna find that info on Dicey. Dink's holding this angle, operator. The rifle. It is going to be traded back, though. Silenx once more. The trade kill comes through, and it's all down to 1. It's all down to Nabaki in the 1v1 against Hiko. Who Sova can be clutch. It's a shock dart. It's 46. Make it 31 HP. Now, the time. Hiko's just got to send it. No, he doesn't, because he just goes clutch. Finally, Hiko gets on the clutch board, and 5 Emperors still sit on that goose egg.
Beautiful darts, overwhelming presence from them. You've heard of average Jonas, but right now Hiko's looking like above average Jonas with those darts. Beautifully played. He keeps them for just the right moment. Not throwing them out early. It's not too uncommon to see. You know, I think it's Profi in particular who tosses his shock darts out sometimes immediately at the beginning over towards B main if he hears anything. But no, the discipline. Again, it's paying off so well for 100 Thieves, reflected in their scoreline, but also really reflecting kind of, well, in the ears, in the eyes of 5 Emperors as they got it really close there. Let's be honest here. They did get a nice amount of trades. They got that spike planted. But, I mean, they struggle in the 1v1, the 2v1. It's just so hard to, I mean, really get past that hump. I know we're on Wednesday right now, but still, the hump remains.
all quiet.
on the one.
We're in the same boat. We're in the same boat here. All quiet on literally the western front as we're on the west side of the map. And I love just the ambient sounds of this map as well. You hear that wind blowing as Steel boosted right up behind the turret. Could be a scary spot to be, but can also find possibly a couple of kills. Is not actually even going to get blinded. Takes it down, plays off contact, and is able to find one. Nabiki trades it back. Back and forth they go. Red and blue are going to go.
Enemy remaining.
As Silence makes me eat my words there. Picking up 2 to keep things uneven. No paranoia in his hands. As nothing. The last remaining in a 1v3. He needs to try and get that spike planted. He's going to pick up a kill onto the counterpart, but Dicey sits him down, and that was quiet. It was, I think, expected to be a play towards A, as we saw Hunter T kind of hover that way for a bit. Dicey was headed over towards mid, and Steel was holding it down with his turret there. And that's one of those rounds. That one, if you blinked, you missed it. I don't know if that Lear was actually even going to blind.
I want to say it was blocked kind of by the turret. Like, the line of sight might have broken it. I'd have to look at that replay over and over again to really dissect it. But, yeah, it definitely didn't seem to work to its intended effect. 100 Thieves,
Get out of my way.
absolutely on mark right now. Have yet to drop a single round. And I don't think this is the one where it happens too. But we can always be surprised. Again, that's what Valorant always offers. We have that Blade Storm in play, plus 4 ultimates to work with. 5 Emperors, they have some tools. Now they actually need to make a project out of it. Doesn't seem to be off to the greatest start. Champisi goes down, so no longer are they going to have that turret, swarm grenades, and play anything of the sort, but they still have those ultimates that I mentioned, Tanner. And that's probably what matters most.
We're about to find out how much they matter here. Paranoia was used. Silence through the smokes. He's going to find nothing. Alir comes through. Dink's not going to be able to find too much there. Asuna getting aggressive over towards Heaven. The blades come through. Dicey's able to trade one back, but it's not on that jet. Still having the blades available. Shots through the wall. The door still up and the spike in hand. They need to get it down. It's all up to Sai here. Stinger, Reyna, Hiko. Couple of things there to close out the round. It's 10 rounds to 0. And let's be honest, Ito. 100 Thieves, they're pretty familiar. Oh, I would say they are pretty familiar. I'm just gonna stick with it. And 13-0s. Being on the better half of them, that is.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that they're a little bit envious, if you would. But really, they haven't been able to get anything here. They're jealous at just the amount of rounds that 100T have been able to amass. The rich get richer, man. I mean, already they're up to almost 5 ultimates. 100 Thieves haven't had to use anything. No stranger to 13 zeros, but after how promising map number 1 seemed for 5 Emperors, you can't help but feel it's a little bit, depressing. Kind of seeing the underdogs fall a little bit. Comebacks are always possible. Again, I don't want to make you not believe, but it's becoming increasingly more difficult to think of ways back into this game. At least 5 Emperors only used 1 ultimate, that being the Blade Storm for that last round, but again, I can't help but look at them because I think it's going to decide so much. Rotates, by the way, I want to mention, they seem to be hovering around A. Something that you mentioned previously. They lead Dicey over towards B main. Once again, finds Champisi. I'm getting a little bit of deja vu right now. It's the same approach once again from 5 Emperors.
That same kill over in B main, Champisi just continuing to try and challenge that, and it just has not gone their way. And sometimes you can just chalk it up to things aren't going our ways. He's going a bit of trouble. Had his knife out, hopping around.
30 seconds
Able to toss out that recon bolt and spots 2. He is going to opt
shoot it
into just heading over towards that B site, but the spike now rotating back towards mid, and it might just be caught up here as that Lear comes through. Nanoswarm going to stop the push momentarily. Paranoia on top of it all, and a smoke goes down. 5 Emperors, they're running out of time. They just have to get on the site and get the spike down. The Hunter's Fury going to deny for now. Dink's going to try and get it down. Steel trying to push out onto the site. They're going to run right into 3 members, but they're going to run down 3 members. And it's all up to Nabaki here, or it's going to be 11 rounds over to 100 Thieves, and it's looking like it's just going to be that. Silence sits him down, and 5 Emperors. The only thing I've got written in my notes right now about this team is clock with a question mark. They like to flirt with the idea of running out of time. We've seen it over and over. It's such a scary place to be. And then when you do that to yourself, you're forced into situations like that where you just have to hold W key just to try and get that spike down so you don't lose the round.
It's the T1 effect, man. I know they're flirting with the idea of running down the clock, but they've had so many bad dates at this point where I think they just need to completely change the pace, really. I mean, this is 100 Thieves at their best. Their defensive calls are great, and they don't even have to completely break the playbook. They don't even have to have any crazy hard reads or setups, anything of the sort. Again, I want to mention that this is the map pick of 5 Emperors, but you would never be able to tell considering how this is going so far. And this is the change of pace that I was hoping to see, Tanner. Right away, 5 Emperors look to push in. Sean Peasy finds his second kill of the game, and what a well-timed one at that. He gets that door closed, probably gets that spike down too, and we enter a very uncomfortable post-plant.
Just got a whole lot more uncomfortable. That Hunter's Fury only going to buy a bit of time. Everybody going to get mowed down. And at the half we go, 12-0 for 100 Thieves, and it's only a pistol round separating your First Strike champions from grabbing themselves a 13-0 here in the round of 128.
It just seems overwhelming. I mean, they're the favorites, but I mean, this doesn't feel like the same 5 Emperors that we saw previously. They're not winning some of their individual duels in the same way that they did previously. Map number 1 kind of feels like a pipe dream at this point, considering how map number 2 is going. This is not unexpected, mind you, but it definitely is a little bit of a heartbreak, considering how this one originally looked for 5 Emperors. And that's really the only big thing that I can kind of chalk up here. It's 12-0 at the half, excuse me, and only one away. 100 Thieves have a pretty solid setup to start with here. I mean, they're just going to rush A, or rush B, excuse me. No, stop. I guess that's as solid as a setup as you can get. 5 Emperors, now's their chance to stem the wound a tiny bit.
It definitely could hurt to take away that 13-0 as another shock dart kill coming on through. Now he finds 3 with the Ghost silencing 100 Thieves. Now Hiko trying to find the clutch. Paranoia is out, and he's able to find that kill onto nothing. He has the spike in his hands and a whole lot of time on the clock. He's good for 1 clutch. The only one that he was put in this game. Now needs to go good for another. It was a 1v4, now a 1v3. He's going to creep up towards mid, spot out 1, but the frenzy mows him down. It's a moral victory for 5 Emperors as they pick up a round.
Let it be known that 5 Emperors never lose 13 in a row. I mean, they got that going for them. This will have to be the start of something absolutely marvelous. It's a way to start, I mean, for sure. Pretty confident looking, a beautiful individual effort from Nabaki. Those aren't shots that you can always rely on happening, but you can definitely rely on even 2 of those kills probably going the way of the defenders. That was a great round from him, again, individually, but we need to see a little bit more. Obviously, 100 Thieves being up such a massive margin are going to be forcing up into the second, and they have a relatively decent track record regarding force-ups. So let's just go ahead and use our imagination. What can 5 Emperors do here? Looks like right now they're completely, well, gambling, to say the least. They've already kept nothing over towards A, and he started towards mid. I'm thinking that right now 100 Thieves can kind of run the clock down. Probably not to the same effect that 5 Emperors were doing in their half, but, you know, again, rely on that info that 100 Thieves is so good at playing off of.
A lot of info gained there. I think 1 on A, 2 over towards tree were both spotted out. As those Lear goes through, it's going to be SMG battles over towards this A site. Asuna not going to look towards that. Lear finds the reload, but not going to find the kill there. Nothing with a beautiful peek to sit him down, but Steel on the opposite side. Picked up that first kill, opening up this B site, and it was all an elaborate ploy to rotate off B site. 100 Thieves. I'm sorry, yeah, rotate off B site. 100 Thieves have since planted the spike and will now hold it down. Nothing trying to creep up the leaderboard with that Stinger in hand. A 4v3. 100 Thieves once more find themselves on the back foot, and we've seen how some of these can turn out for 5 Emperors.
3 seconds until dart. That's going to be their cue to push, I'm pretty sure. Oh no, they won't even get that far! Okay, it's got to be done, man. How does it end like that? You blink and you miss it almost surely, but you saw Sai actually say in the chat at the very end, not even mad. And how can you be double shock dart to finish things out? Talk about falling with style, man.
And style is not only the Hiko way there, but the 100 Thieves way. Everything they did, it felt like they did it with style. The aggression, Asuna just time and time again, being able to push up almost unstoppable in every single push through A main on that defensive side. Obviously, we didn't get a whole lot of it on the attacking side. I really enjoy it was, hey, 12-0, we're going into the last round. Let's just send it towards B. The round gets picked up. 5 Emperors take that one. And then the next one, 100 Thieves, they go back to the drawing board a little bit. They say, hey, it's not going to be as easy as just rushing B to beat these guys. So you see the respect once more given. It wasn't just constantly 100 Thieves just running over this and that pub stompy kind of way. It was a whole lot of respect given to both teams. And like you said, at the end, they say, not even mad. What could you expect? You're coming into this tournament. It's one of the first few that we've been able to see from this team, and you're playing the First Strike champions. I can't imagine you expect too much out of that one. And hats off to 5 Emperors. Even more hats off, obviously. Nitro waiting on that baby to come on in. He gets to take a look back and say 100 Thieves is moving forward.
I mean, it's like I said at the very beginning, 100 Thieves, even though they don't have their role IGL, they're not headless chickens. They have some amazing players, and they're incredibly smart. Tanner, I mean, I think that second game, I can only kind of rehash the same points over and over. I think I kind of explained everything through the game itself. I mean, do you have any final thoughts before we head into another break and possibly onto that round of 64 very soon?
I mean, it's good to see 100 Thieves picking up right where they left off. I don't think anybody expected anything different. I feel like the only people that might be expecting 5 Emperors to pick something up there are close fans, close friends, of the 5 Emperors. So 100 Thieves pick up right where they left off. Now they have to keep pushing it forward into that round of 64. But before we jump to that break, guys, we want to give a huge shout out and thank you to one of our partners here for this stream in HyperX. If you guys don't know, HyperX, that's legendary comfort going wireless with the HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Built to be an ultra comfortable gaming headset with amazing sound. It's no wonder that it's become the preferred gaming headset for millions of gamers. I think I live with 5 gamers in my house. Every single one of us own a pair of HyperX headsets, so you just can't go wrong with it. And again, it is a legendary comfort all the way on through HyperX. Make sure you guys are checking that out when you get a chance. But as Ito said, we do have to jump away to a break. Now, we do have that round of 64 coming on up next. There are a handful of streams across the board, and I'm not too sure where we're headed, but when we come back, obviously, if you're not seeing your favorite team cast it here, you can find it elsewhere. Guys, thank you for tuning on in, and we'll catch you guys here in just a moment for the round of 64.
What sound experience would you like today?
I'll have the fantasy pack.
Good choice.
And could you make it a Cloud 2 wireless?
On his way, sir.
Sounds amazing.
I feel like I need to defend my scene's honor here, because this is just turning into a bit of a dog battle.
Like in groups always look.
I'm cutting you off here. I'm cutting you off. Cutting you off. He said G2's winning it. He said G2's winning it.
We need to wait till the next EU tournament, which could be in about 10 years now.
Take it with like a grain of salt.
No,
but
that's
that
no
being
fun.
said,
Take it super literally.
Spike defused.
Show me what you got. Back that up, 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 back Show me what you got. Show me what you got. Down, up, back, back, up, God, down, up, back, back, God, down, up, back, back, up, God, down, up, back, back, God, down, up, back, back, up, God, down, up, back, back, God, down, up, back, back, up, God. Ain't no reason to back down, so step it up. God, down, up, back, back, up, God, down, up, back, back, God, down, up, back, back, up, God, down, up, back, back, God, down, up, back, back, up, God, down, up, back, back, God, down, up, back, back, up, God.
Got the money in the bank. Hit you with the bank. Hit you with the 808. Hit you with the 808. Bang to the break. Bang to the break. Bang to the break. Bang, 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 bang. I'm a boss, and you know that I'm finna shine. Got the money in the bank. Got the money in the bank.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, for the Valorant Champions Tour. This is the first of the open qualifiers here in Challengers. My name's still Tanner Metro, joined by Ito himself, and we just came off a pretty devastating loss in 100 Thieves, taking down 5 Emperors. It was to be expected. It was a pretty brutal one, but at the end of the day, everybody was still high in spirits.
Right. I mean, and there's a lot, again, to take away that was great from the 5 Emperors. They had a pretty strong performance on Bind, not so much on Ascent, but some great highlight plays here and there. You know, I'm trying to remember the name. Nothing in particular, I think, had some pretty great flashes. And I actually think we have some replays that might kind of summarize the match in case you weren't able to catch all of it. So, you know, it was here and there for 5 Emperors, but not unexpected at all from 100 Thieves. However, we're not doing 100 Thieves for this next match.
No, we are not. We are going to be jumping in the round of 64 following NRG taking on Blahaj here. And I mean, this match that we're looking at in these replays definitely does 5 Emperors a bit more justice. Obviously, the Ascent not as great as Steel here close things out. I think it was a 3K here, and then towards the end, I think it was another 3K on that B side. Hiko with the 2 kills and that shock dart. And again, it was aggression, the name of the game. I'm wondering how long we're going to see that, or how many teams we're going to see that be the name of the game, right? Who's going to try and slow things down? Who's going to try and pick up the pace here and try and catch the opposition off guard? Because obviously that is the 100 Thieves way, and we get to see if it's the NRG way. Yeah, here's the close. So it was not only the shock darts there, but it was a sheriff in the hands of Steel on that one to pick up a 3K. And there you guys go. We've got the rosters here for both of these squads. And NRG, I want to say a fan favorite, too. I feel like everybody wants to get their hand in the pot when it comes to watching an NRG game.
Oh, for sure, because NRG have only been getting better and better as time has gone by. You know, I think they won the final tournament of 2020, or at least the final one that had pretty high major team, what's the word I'm looking for, attendance. So, you know, NRG, considering how they started, they switched up their lineup, bringing in Infinite towards the end, and kind of controversially dropping Kohler, and yet it still worked out, and they've actually looked really, really solid. NRG, I think, again, they kind of shine in their early round calls if I had to choose one thing to point out about them. But, you know, at the same time, I don't want to completely forget the other team here. This is an interesting one, Blahaj, because they've actually had some pretty interesting results in the past. They've won against Carpe Noctem, Balanced Esports, and Fun Snatchers, all of which are teams that I'd say are kind of gatekeepers of that Tier 3/Tier 2 team, or of that Tier 3/Tier 2 team barrier, rather. So maybe things could get a little bit more competitive, especially since we have actually, I think, found out our map vetoes. I'm not exactly sure, though. I'll have to double check on that info, but I mean, things, I wouldn't say are all perfect for NRG.
No, I mean, the start of the broadcast, one of the first things we said, right, is that today could be the day of upsets. You know, there's a lot of moving parts, not only in just the rosters themselves, but as far as, you know, teams picking up random free agents that have been let go, just trying to kind of force things and make it work. And then we've also got operator changes. We have a new operator added to the mix that we've yet to see. We have not seen Yoru just yet, but I can't imagine we shy away from Split for too long. Obviously, Icebox still one that I think a lot of teams are still kind of trying to figure out. One of the biggest things, and I'm surprised that we kind of see it, is the nerfs to Jet feel like that really hurts that agent, especially when now that smoke only lasts just about as long to plant that spike. So if you're looking to make a play like that, you don't have a whole lot of time to say, hey guys, I'm going in, you know, somebody try and trade me or come in with me. You have to, once you're trying to make a play inside that smoke, you have to get that spike down almost immediately. So a whole lot of changes, and that is going to be, I guess, one of the things that we see firsthand. I don't know the last time I got to watch an NRG game coming on through, especially since the most recent changes to Split and to Jet, Brimstone as well. And now we get to see it and how it affects them specifically against a team, like you said, that doesn't have the longest track record, but does have a couple of good wins in most recently, I think this month, right? In a couple of invitationals in this month, Blahaj has kind of been able to show up.
Well, I was kind of waiting to drop this bomb on you, but you mentioned that we haven't seen any Yoru. I have the logs pulled up of the last game that NRG just played against Virtuoso, and Shanks was on Yoru.
Interesting.
So it's kind of in place with what you mentioned about the nerfs to Jet, especially since Shanks played a ton of Jet, as you might imagine. He's an insane duelist. He's picking up the Yoru as well, so a very new addition to the roster. But I'm wondering, I mean, is this something that Chet, the coach of NRG, has been trying to implement into their team since he got released? Is it just something that they're doing for the round of 128, round of 64, before they really start getting into some of these more crazy teams, the ones who are kind of the gatekeepers of Tier 1/Tier 2? I mean, how far is this Yoru going to go? Or is it going to be a staple for them? You know? Lots of questions up in the air.
I think something that I've heard kind of in the atmosphere talking about Jet and Jet being, if not the strongest, one of the strongest agents for being your opper, right? Your operator, whoever's using that, typically you see it on Jet. I think Yoru kind of in the same sense adds that that shot and then dash factor where you can use, you can displace yourself. You can set something up at the beginning of the map, take a shot elsewhere, and completely, not only completely switch up your position in an instant just about, but in a way that you're not necessarily getting heard, right? Everybody hears that Jet dash. Everybody knows when Jet is going up in the air or dashing in, dashing out, even sometimes in the direction that the Jet is headed. So now with Yoru, things get a bit spicier. So that is one of the ways I think Yoru can be implemented a whole lot. And I think coming into this one, just like Icebox was, just like some of these split changes might be, it's a huge X factor as a whole, as some teams might not have that competitive setting or played that competitive setting with Yoru. Now we already take a peek at these maps and where we are going to be headed. And unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to see a whole lot of Sage between these teams in the map pick. Sure. But it does look like we have, it's, what is that going to be? The Icebox, bind and split. So Icebox to kick things off and split down at the end. I guess, okay, Icebox, maybe we see a Sage, but I'm just hoping we get a whole lot of Yoru Ito.
I know. I was just thinking the same thing. Is like, does Yoru slot in just fine? Because Haven and Bind were played by NRG in their last game against Virtuoso, and they didn't bring out the Sage there, but they definitely brought out the Yoru. So, I mean, I wouldn't say it's all too unexpected to maybe see it. Icebox, though, it is going to be a complete X factor. I do not have the stats on hand, unfortunately, but Sage, I think, just kind of makes sense to bring. She has a lot to offer on Icebox in particular, and it wouldn't be unexpected to see them maybe pick it up. They're thinking about it. EU is hovering Sova right now. Not too late to maybe pick up that Sage, my friend. Or are they just going to completely shy away from everything I mentioned? Okay, well, we'll have to actually see as the timer ticks down. Again, anything can happen in such early stages like this. I know he's not doing the Viper. He's just trolling us, isn't he? There's no way they do double smokes with it. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be crazy for them to, but one thing that I think I remember seeing before from NRG, I don't have the VOD again on hand. I've done all this research, but I don't have the names. But what they do is this really interesting wall by Kitchen, and what they do is partially clip it on the defender side by B, and sometimes Shanks likes to use double updraft up there to have like this really cheeky headshot angle. And I mean, hey, the Jet is there, but the Sage is not. EU has actually decided to pick up the Sova instead, so we're not going to be seeing that cheeky Sage wall. We're not going to be seeing the Sage whatsoever. It's going to be a completely blank slate, and Tanner, I'm not really sure what I can expect.
It's different, to say the least. We're already getting this X factor in Icebox to see how NRG can match up against it, and this is the pick for Blahaj. So this might be one of those teams. I think one of the best ways is I get the worm and the squirrel up top. That's a new one to me, so thank you, observers, for bringing my attention to that. The high ground taken there. The interesting thing or something new here, I think when you have a team, you're kind of putting it together, you're trying to figure some things out. Icebox is probably one of the best maps for you to learn because a lot of people still feel uncomfortable on it. So if somebody's trying to catch you off guard, or you're trying to catch somebody off guard and take you to Icebox, or take somebody to Icebox, I think that's one of the best things that you can add to your arsenal. As I see it as a Blahaj map pick. They are going to be on the attacking side here, and that Spike creeping up towards A. Almost historically, we've seen teams either hit A every single time or hit B every single time. So hopefully here, Ito, we get a little bit of a mix of both in this game.
Variety is a spice of life, but for now it is going to be a little bit more bland. Hopefully there is a little bit of spice though, as it seems to be a burst up. Drone has already been used, but this dart is what they're going to be relying on for their intel. NRG, up until that point, had 5 players at the ready. Now they're going back to their default setup, and that will be the cue for Blahaj to start pushing in. Blix, avoiding that paranoia, hasn't exactly pathed towards sight, and keep an eye on that Spike, because it's going to be going down in a very cheeky angle inside this dark cover. Right now, Blahaj, they're looking to play post-plant as much as possible, but here come the Rain of Frenzies! Already, Blue just fills the kill feed, and NRG finished the round before you have a chance to breathe, much less get that Spike down.
NRG, they saw Icebox in this map rotation, and they chose violence. On the defensive side, it was all blood here. And it was looking to be a Spike plant at the very least, but for whatever reason, it was halted, it was stopped. They tried to pick the fight instead, and everything goes the way of NRG. Now, just like we saw a slow, apprehensive start from Blahaj, we're getting that as well when it comes to the buy here in round 2. Apprehensive, hanging on to pistols, maybe looking to just grab whatever they can here. And this one as they creep up towards this B site, already getting a little bit of variety, but it should be a round picked up here by NRG.
On paper, at least. An early duel in the grand scheme of things, taken over by A main. This flash is going to be used for it. That Lear's good to single-handedly take that kill onto Trakes, and everything is shut down. Once again, NRG, they move so quickly. And they move themselves up to 2. It's not unexpected because, like you just mentioned, Tanner, it was pistols. It was that kind of apprehensive buy. But this time, it's not going to be so much. They have all those Vandals all the way across the board. And NRG are still sticking with their Spectres. They're going to treat this as a bonus round. I want to see what Infinite does here. I'm kind of interested in what his move will be, because does he fight for that ultimate orb since he's relatively close, about halfway to that lockdown? Or does he just try to respect what Blahaj now have to work with? This new artillery, again, might provide a little bit more spice, but Blahaj are looking to once again take early A control and maybe just burst onto the site once more. Kind of like what we saw on this pistol, only maybe a little bit more successful.
NRG actually expecting a hit up towards mid. They've completely sacrificed this A site now, rotating on back. As the flash has come through, there's the flash and dash. Not going to find too much, as those smokes are doing a good job of clearing this site out, or keeping the sight lines blinded. So I'm going to find the first. That one through smoke. Hijinks is able to trade one back. The spike has since been planted, and now we get to see that post plant that we thought would come in that pistol round. It is a 4v4. And that spike just planted off-site a little bit. Not necessarily the most defaulted position. Nano Swarms look to go on out. Daps might just be able to stick this one. They're trying to stay through the smoke, but NRG, no, they stop it for a moment. Psalm forced to get back on. And now Zill has to try and trade it out, but he just can't do it. Blahaj seemed like they had the recipe to win a round, but they just couldn't get it done.
It was a scary start for them, that's for sure. Blahaj, that is the execute that they wanted by all means. They did get the spike down, you know, they fell back to their favorite positions. It was really patiently played at right moments. Daps, I want to point out in particular, because you notice that NRG were really only going for the idea. They really only pushed to get that spike defused when they had that dark cover available. So patient use of their utility, excuse me, and discipline always seems to be the name of the game, doesn't it? Blahaj yet to find a round, and that was their best chance to do it. Now NRG have full rifles in their hands. No longer are we messing with the pithy tools such as those Spectres, as scary as they might be. We're actually dealing with really heavy-hitting stuff at this point, including the operator right here on Shanks. So, I want to point out real quick, what do Blahaj look for here? This is a bit more of a default for them, but they don't have the artillery to really kind of full send or get away with a lot of these picks. They need to have some incredible positioning, I feel, to actually succeed in this department.
They are very aware of this operator as well as it took down that drone. A shot fired makes this B site pretty scary. Smokes once more, though, to stop the sight lines for NRG, and a slow creep up 1 towards 2. The Omens surely going to meet each other.
Patience.
Daps going to get the better half of that. One is going to be traded back. Make it another. A beautiful shot from downtown. Jet on jet action. And it doesn't mean winning the round, but it does mean hurting the economy. Unless that operator can get picked up. Once more, spike planted. Hijinks peeks out a bit too soon, and the smoke just cannot keep him alive. Infinite with a nice 3K. Find a 4th round for NRG. Now, Ito, I'm going to take a step back here. I'm going to out myself a little bit. What do you consider a bonus round? A bonus round to me is what I'm going to say is I've always understood it as it's the round where you hang on to your guns, and it should be a free win from the opposition because they're on full rifles. But it seems like everybody kind of leans the other way. It's a bonus round. You don't have to rebuy guns.
Well, that's my school of thought, is that it's kind of the leftovers from round number 2, those force-ups, where you're going to be seeing a lot of Spectres, a lot of Stingers, hell, even a Marshall if you're feeling really crazy. It's not going to be the rifles like you see right now in NRG's hands. You're not going to be seeing an operator round 3 if it's a bonus, in other words. It's just more preserving your economy and, I guess, really fully feeling the effects of it a little bit later on. NRG, I mean, it's not like they've had to worry about their economy at all. Some of these rounds haven't even gone the distance, and NRG, for the most part, have been able to collapse and completely shut down Blahaj without much retaliation. It's another A execute in, Tanner, and we're still not seeing that variety that I mentioned previously. A couple of B hits here and there, but once again, A seems to be their destination of choice. This time a much safer plant, mind you. This is going to completely change up how Blahaj play. That's actually really interesting.
All 5 members still alive here, and as you said, a much safer plant. Galmok going to go down here. Infinite going to pick that first one up. Sounded like that spike was teased for the defuse, and it's Red going good for 2. There's the Rolling Thunder going to buy a bit of time. EU and Dapso looking to close things out. They're not done yet. This is beautiful from Blahaj, just trying to play against the clock, and now in the 1v1, the diffuser Shanks, he's still in the smoke. That is the limited time for the smokes. The Strikes to get it done. What a way to win that round. A beautifully played round by Blahaj. It got a little sloppy, but the close there was absolutely fantastic.
The pre-fire was beautiful there from Trix. That is something that you can only have the game sense for. That wasn't a reaction shot. That man, he used his ears. He used all 5 senses, and he can now taste victory. That is huge. Blahaj, that's a round they desperately needed, mind you, and they actually fared so much better against NRG than probably their best chance would have been, that bonus round that we talked about a little bit earlier. NRG, they still have another buy in them, no problems, no doubts there whatsoever, but since that got so scrappy, things are a little bit more scary, as Som is definitely going to be dancing with danger and trying to make things even more horrific as he barely gets out after tagging down that drone. There was some really heavy spam towards that area, but he managed to evade all those bullets, stays healthy, and now Daps is going to be the next one to maybe get a little bit of love, because he is pushed out all the way towards mid.
I love this approach by NRG.
They have lockdown.
Here we go. Trake's able to put that one down. There's the shot coming on through, and the approach from NRG has been beautiful. They're playing the slow playstyle with the slow playstyle. They don't care, and Som is here. He's able to dismiss away, but does he get out? No, he's going to be detained. So one going to be sacrificed over to the Valorant gods.
He's still alive!
Still actually falls. He's still alive. A beautiful play by NRG, working together. And a round that looked to be in favor of Blahaj, they don't even get a kill, Ito.
It started out so good because they burned off a ton of time from the clock, got a very nice Killjoy lockdown, you know, right out there, but everything kind of crumbled apart from there. That detain, I thought for sure was going to be a kill, but that man is just hopping his way. I think we have the replay of it. Oh no, it's actually going to be Shanks. All right, no, there it is from Som. That man got detained, and yet he was just still hopping his way to victory. That is unbelievable, actually. But, you know, the teamwork, it's exactly what you said, Tanner. I feel like you're bringing up all these points even before me, is that is those fundamentals that I always talk about, being able to trade each other out. We do have a little bit of a pause, so we kind of can fully break down why that's so good from NRG. And it really does come down to being in those perfect positions to, even if it's not the craziest highlight, you're not looking for a solo play, you're looking to keep each other alive. They have that one on lock, and that sort of structure is what so many teams just strive to have.
The patience, right? It's almost the exact opposite from what we saw, and it's NRG adapting to Blahaj's playstyle. Blahaj trying to draw out everything that they can, whether it be utility, whether it be rotations, making noise here when the play is over there. NRG haven't bit a single time on that, and that play was a perfect showing of that, where Shanks just holding fast up in nest, watching towards that defender, or the attacker side at spawn, excuse me, finds that op shot. Then I guess a little bit of aggression from Som playing up with that lockdown coming on through, but still just holding stout to where they want to play, not changing anything up, not biting off more than they can chew. And it is just, it's worked phenomenally. Obviously, one round it didn't, but that was a pretty Herculean effort from Blahaj to be able to pick up that round win. And NRG, they look poised, they look patient, and they look really good here on Icebox.
And you can always have that talk about how much of that structure comes from their coach, because I think I also brought this up a little bit earlier. They have brought on Chet, who was famously the coach for Evil Geniuses in Counter-Strike. He has been kind of known since he originally got his start in coaching like 2015 or something of the sort for actually being able to provide a lot of this kind of structure for teams. And considering how NRG started out with some pretty middling results, let's be honest here, they have looked so much better even through the controversial change of, you know, dropping Kohler despite him having an overall good performance. They know best. You know, at the end of the day, the players themselves know exactly what's up, and NRG, they're looking great because of it. Sure, this is still early days, not only of this game, but of the tournament as a whole. But it is one hell of a way to open things up, that is for sure. Confidence is just kind of seeping from them.
Confidence is key, especially in a game like this where if you're losing your gunfights, boy oh boy, does it feel bad. And fortunately for NRG, they're just not. They've had the angles, they've had the opportunities, again, just holding steady, not worrying about too much. I think we saw in that last matchup sometimes where 100 Thieves, I'm thinking of one play specifically, Hiko was holding an angle on Bind, and I don't think they had as much site security as they thought they did. Hiko looks away from where he's watching for 1 second and he gets tactical shooter timing. And like that's just kind of how it played out. For NRG, they just have the angles and they have each other's backs. It makes me think about Shanks not worried about a single thing when he was watching that attacker side at spawn. He was just holding fast. Nothing was going to make him move. No footsteps, not anything, because he had complete faith in his team. And when you slap together a bunch of solid players, and you brought up the coach, structure is sometimes what you need. So I've been impressed thus far. It is only the round of 64, and I'll be a little more impressed if they bring out the Yoru and do some crazy things with that. But it's kind of tough now going into this one on the opposite side for Blahaj. They're running dual initiators. They haven't gotten the most value, I feel like, and it's slow, and they push in quick. And all the angles are just held down by NRG, right? And it's only taking 3 members. So I'm interested to think or kind of get your thoughts on the changes they can make. Maybe a bit more mid play. There is no Sage. So into Kitchen Tube, that's going to be free all the time.
Well, it's going to be a real test for Blahaj, quite obviously, because just what they're up against. But they did win in the round of 128 game. Not sure what maps were played then, but this is the pick of Blahaj, so they definitely know their way around Icebox despite being such a new map. What they need to do is it's a monolith of a question, because really, you know, you can always improve, but I think they need to try to focus, if nothing else, on trying to get the cleanest post plants down, or the cleanest plants down that they can, and really kind of bank on being able to hold the line kind of where they are right now. If you can hold on to these positions securely, that's the most uncomfortable NRG have looked. There's potential for sure. Again, this is a team that did win their opening match at single elim. Now they need to do it against a Juggernaut. And this Juggernaut is angry, will find the opening kill, walking actually right into a Nano Swarm as well. Som takes a bit of damage. There's a plant that they need. Blahaj, they're on the right track, but they're down a player. They're down 2, they're down 3. Can we count to 5? Because apparently Blahaj can. That's now going to be 6-1, surely, unless Jauma can pull off the miracle. It's not going to happen. And that is what's so hard. That right there is a pinnacle, Tanner, of what I'm talking about. If they can get the plant down, that post plant is so difficult. That's why it needs to be so clean. That's why it needs to be so flawless, because otherwise, NRG are just going to absolutely run through them. It's so difficult to play against, man. I don't know how they do it.
Hats off to, or a big shout out to Som there, picking up a kill on the Blades. Hijinks goes down, and using that dismiss and seeing all 4 members, the way that he danced around up top, he was able to spot out everybody to let his team know, hey, once more, they're just rushing onto this A site.
Right.
I believe that was an eco round, so, you know, you get the plant, so you get an extra couple of credits. You find a kill, which hurts the economy just a bit. You see it's a little wonky across, I think, 1,800 for one member on NRG and 7,000 on another. You see 6,500 on Daps here. So they're still sitting pretty. It's not the best you can hope for, but at the very least, a plant no less. Now we go back to the drawing board, and things a bit different. That operator has since switched things up, headed on over towards mid, right underneath the tube here, just making sure nobody's coming out of that attacker-sided spawn. The spike hovering towards mid too. So Shanks might just be set up in the most perfect position. A smoke not completely blocking his line of sight here either. So this could be bad. And there it is, Zill. The first to go down. That is flashes off the board. And once more, Blahaj on the back foot.
One thing that NRG tried doing but didn't get fully utilized is actually EU was inside a dark cover to kind of possibly play contact off of Shanks in case that maybe he needed a trade. Maybe there's just a full swarm of people running at him. It didn't even get utilized, but that's something that I can definitely see being used later on down the line. Blahaj will go back to the old faithful A push. Although it hasn't had the best results, it has been one of their most promising forays into being able to take down NRG. And it's not looking promising yet again. They don't even get the spike down. EU will stop that early.
Couple of kills traded back, though. It is going to be answered. Now a 2v3, making it 2v1. It is Blix, the last alive. He has to worry about Psalm coming right at him in the dismiss. And Infinite right behind. NRG pick up another. And this brings me now to a thought. Is there this much of a gap between these teams? Is NRG this far ahead of this Blahaj squad who's made it to the round of 64? And if not, what in this map pick makes this where Blahaj wants to go? Do you think it is just that trying to throw a wrench into things and NRG just, they're ready for it? Because nothing from the score lines to the players, the score lines of the game, nothing screams, yes, this is Blahaj's map pick. I would not have assumed that at all.
That's something I think only the teams will truly know because we haven't seen anything all too promising from Blahaj just yet. My only gamble is that it's the map that NRG have played the least, but the results, the few that we have at least from them, have been pretty good. A 67% win rate out of 3. So, I mean, you're not exactly talking huge numbers here, but I guess they really did want to kind of throw a spanner in the works, if you would. Surprise factor hasn't exactly been game-changing all too much yet. And it's going to be exactly the same thing as Shanks finds the opener. 55 seconds left on the clock, and a flank does come through, which is great. That alarm bot, I don't think, was quite far enough to actually catch out Hijinks. So he doesn't get tagged until after he's found the kill. Blahaj, they have a bit more space to work with, but they do not have the artillery to use it. To take advantage of it, excuse me. I'm pretty sure Psalm actually found that kill here, but he didn't. And guess where Blahaj are going? They have one bet here, Tanner.
30 seconds left.
Headed over to A, but to add adultery, the numbers get dwindled down again. Shanks with a beautiful shot in here. Now Psalm with the angle. Sheriff right in his face. He's able to find the spray down. And it's all up to Jalmok. Got a stinger, got a dream, but Shanks picks up 2 with the operator, swaps on over to that frenzy. They close it out. And I thought maybe Shanks getting a little complacent.
Right.
On that over T, but 2 beautiful ones to answer back. And, 2 wrongs making a right or something like that. Either way, Shanks came out on top.
That's, once again, NRG on their winning, or in their winning ways once more. As for the ultimate check, something I always like to do, Frakes is a little over halfway to getting another lockdown. I think that is going to be their biggest engine to push. Also keep in mind maybe that Rolling Thunder, that's in Zill's potential arsenal. Only 2 points away from that. I want to see a little bit more of an emphasis over taking orbs. I think that B1 might be a little bit more suited for them. If they can toss out a dark cover, deny Shanks of some of that early information, you can fight for it. I think that might be your best chance to try to isolate a pick. As scary as that might be, it's against an op, for Christ's sakes. But something, you can't just keep on cowering away, especially when you already see they have the idea that they want to go back to B's. Kind of, you can see the cogs turning in their head right now of, maybe we make this into a mid-split. They're eventually going to have to face off against Shanks here. It's a matter of when, not if.
NRG, they just have them red. Anytime they try and make a play elsewhere, they've got something to answer. As EU barely makes it out as that off-shot whizzes right on by. That's the operator down now. Infinite can be the benefactor of that kill, and EU is here to stop the push through the kitchen.
So
not
patient.
In my house, he will say. Daps to back him up after the kill is traded, and the biggest victory Blahaj has is hurting the economy of one player just about every single round, but it's not enough to find anything. And the spice, variety is the spice of life. That is something that you said at the beginning of the game. You could see that Blaha is just trying to give us that spice. Just nothing is working. Everything that they throw at the wall, it's just been batted down. NRG, stalwart on defense. And at this point, you're looking 9-1. Quite possibly could be an 11-1 half. And Blaha have to come up with a crazy defense to be able to put up some numbers.
Or maybe a crazy attacking round. That is one start. The Sheriff will find the opener. Tanner, again, this is a potential engine to push. Actually, Miss Flash, I think, denies a bit of space. Killjoy ult, that lockdown will be used maybe a bit preemptively from NRG. But look at this, Blahaj, they're starting to back up. Oh my god, Hijinks! I can't believe he actually dies there. What a nuts shot, excuse me. From, I think that was Infinite? I don't even understand how he hit that banger. But, you know, Blahaj, they are spicing things up. I respect it. They just can't get right there, man. It's rough.
A winnable one at that. Infinite. Ooh, gonna be the first to contact. Zill takes him down. It's the Sheriffs for me. Poor Blahaj here. Now Psalm has to get it done all by his lonesome. I would imagine he's probably got the economy to get it done. 5,900 credits in his back pocket. Is able to spot out one. That's Joe Mock to sit him down. It's another round for Blahaj. I counted him out a little too soon. Still a scary spot. And at the end of the day, it's not 11-1. You got a bit more breathing room going into that defensive side. And now we see if they can get a bit more space at the end here of the half.
Of course, it's the eco that does the trick. Great individual performances, great individual shots, I should say, excuse me, from Blahaj. You know, you always got to point out Zill, because that second shot that he got on the player holding behind yellow was actually game-changing. But they need to keep this up. 9-3 is going to be the best that they can hope for at this point. They have plenty of ultimates in their arsenal, including that Rolling Thunder, which I told you to keep a note of. Now we're actually going to be seeing it come into play, and this is where it matters most. 9-3 is a world of a difference between this and 10-2. Even if it doesn't seem by much, NRG have to respect that Rolling Thunder, and this should be a plant by all intents and purposes. However, the shut me up once again will be NRG. How do they keep doing it?
This is just the result of a team being fire hot, firing on all cylinders. NRG, they seem unstoppable. Even with the bow out, he's still alive. How EU finally goes down in Psalm to close it on out. 10-2 at the half. And as you said, I mean, NRG, they just look so good. They make you eat your words. They're winning every single fight. They cannot be stopped here.
Yeah, they just move so quickly. It is wonderful to watch. Blahaj, again, I really respect what they're doing here. But when you're just faced off against NRG, who is fire hot, what can you really hope for? I need to watch this again. Oh my god, I just realized that second kill Infinite got was through the dark cover. He didn't even see it, and yet he still believed in himself enough to spray down and completely blindside Zill. That is such a painful way to go out. NRG, the wind is in their sails, but now they're going to be the ones dictating the pace even more so. They're attacking, and Blahaj seem to be ready for this challenge over towards A. Let's see who hits the shots. Last time we saw pistols, it was Blahaj. Maybe it's time for you know, another round to go through.
Daps from downtown, the Frenzy is able to pick up the kill on that turret. So now a little bit less to worry about over towards that B site. This pistol round, it is a big one, right? 10-2. You pick this one up if you're Blahaj. You hope NRG doesn't force and kind of just runs away in the next one. But you could string together a couple of rounds on defense and start to get that confidence up. But Frenzies might be the deterring factor here as they look to push up onto the side. Hijinks already taken a bit of damage, was able to escape, but now under 100 HP. Needs to be careful. That spike yet to be planted. The dark covers. The clouds all over the place. Nice aftershock, gonna stop the plant for just a moment, but a lot of time left on the clock. Now, it did buy time for the rotation to come through. Dap still holding it down. Hijinks on lower HP, able to pick one up. Infinite trades it back, but it's back and forth. Blue for 2, blue for 3 here. NRG find themselves on the back foot on the attacking side. The spray from the ghosts. Nobody gonna fall there in that trade, and it's all up to Psalm once more. Running out of time here, just about 10 seconds on the clock. He's just got to send it. He takes a shot at one, not going to pick it up as Joe Mock sits him down. I didn't see the utility there at the end. That could have been a bad spot should he had the Devour available. Psalm could have turned it around, but at the end of the day, Blahaj able to pick up another, and we'll see where this economy heads, Ito, for this round for NRG.
Time was really of the essence there, too. You mentioned maybe the dismiss could have been used, but you also have to keep in mind that he needed to find 3 kills in, like, 10 seconds. It was still a very tall order, even if he did have that in his favor. But Blahaj, you know, it's exactly what they needed. This is the kind of a glimpse of redemption. This is what they can bring to a fight. And it was a great hold. Not quite stalwart, if I can borrow your word there, but definitely reactive, and it's completely perfect to shut down NRG, even if it is just for 1 round. But NRG have forced up once more. Doesn't seem to amount to anything, at least in the opening stages of round number 14, as they have completely dismantled the NRG side. 0 kills. What in the world? He is just wondering what went wrong. He won't find an answer.
No answer there. That was probably not as expected from NRG. Forcing up. They just get mowed down. Jalmok, I think, picking up a 3K in that round. 2 to start things, and then heading on back to that B site to lock it down and find the 3rd. The economy's in a weird spot, but I guess if you're NRG, you have the breathing room. You have that wiggle room to just try and force up and regain control. You pick up a win on that eco, and it, again, switches things in your favor. The economy, or that force, rather, the economy gets awkward on the defending side, and NRG could then, you know, play that overpowering, that overwhelming style that they've been playing in these gunfights. Not necessarily the case, though, as Blahaj get back on the board. So they live to go for another round. So that force didn't work. The pistol did not work. And now this next one, it's another half-ish buy, yard sale buy. It could be enough, though, to get in the game as that Sheriff shot goes wide. Nanoswarm comes out. Dark to the back. Not going to get any information. At the very least, NRG should be able to get that spike down.
Spike planted.
At least for now, but it's not over yet. Great early stages from NRG, but this is where they are most lethal. As soon as that spike goes down, whether they're on the defensive or attacking end, they always seem to be crazy. Tanner, this is not nearly done yet. No players have died yet. This is insane.
Oh, there's the kills that come on through, though. It's the SMGs, the Spectres for Zill and Blix. Blahaj looking to close things out. It's all up to Shanks, but the defuse comes through no less, and Shanks will fall at the end of things. Imposter down, says Hijinks. And that was scary because nobody dying, you're no longer having that clock on your side if you're a defender. You have to make something happen or that spike is going to blow. Fortunately, Zill and Blix kick things off with a couple of crucial kills to mow down some key members. And then Shanks playing too far back with just the Sheriff, not able to find the angle. Now we get to that spot where it is that bonus buy.
There we are.
The bonus round here for Blahaj as they're going to hang on to their SMGs. And it's rifles for NRG. And this is where they've been the most lethal.
Right now, the things that I'm going to be looking out for here is, do they fight for this ult orb at all? Do they even fake it to try to bait out an early peek? Or do they actually go on the aggro here? Hijinks is completely caught off guard by Infinite, who has the higher ground, but, well, I'm going to avoid the easy Star Wars reference here because that's about where the action ends. We once again kind of halt, slow things down once more. Again, I think at this point, things are not good for Blahaj, quite obviously, but NRG, how far do they try to push this? This is kind of what they did in that last round. They completely cut noise, or they got up as close as they could, and then they just kind of burst it on up. This time, though, there's a little bit more intel, and Blahaj are starting to fight back, making it a bit more preemptive. NRG can't quite get up for free. They're forced to concede a little bit of space, make a bit more noise. Baby, we got a round going.
Yeah, it's slow, very slow, but this has kind of been the name of the game for the entirety of this game, even when Blahaj were on the attacking side. Player goes through. A big flank coming from Daps. Should he make his way on in that turret? Gonna grab some info. And a paranoia heads on out. And now the rotation gonna be stunted here by Som. They're all rotating over to B. Daps gives them the green light. Able to find a kill as well. Another one on this side. Blitz one up though. Som goes down. That's a big one to pick up. Rifle should be in the hands of Blix as they rotate back over. Blahaj find themselves in a flanks here, making sure Shrakes had way in. And now 6 feet under. Jalmok, the leading fragger here for this Blahaj squad. Gonna try and do everything he can. That spike plant in that default position. That's to be expected. Smokes go down the turret. Actually spots him up top. So a bad spot. The alarm bot, it's all thrown on the spike here. He's going to fake it once, but he has so many members to worry about inside the smoke. He will fall. Now Blix, not able to do anything. Just going to hang on to that rifle that he picked up and that kill on Som. NRG battle back. And like we said at the beginning, rifles is where NRG are the most lethal. It's okay to hand over those force rounds. They're okay to hand over the pistol. Because you give them some Phantoms, you give them some Vandals, and they just get it done.
Oh my god. That firing range as soon as the spike was tapped is something out of a comedy. Just immediate. Your noise. Oh my god, it was just filling with bullet noises. That was absurd. I cannot believe looking at this round again. That fake that they did was wonderful. It started out. Luckily, our observers and you both pointed it out. Omen was all alone, Daps over towards B, and he ended up weaving it into a perfect round in favor of NRG. The big brain on the man, what can you say? Perfect mid-round call. NRG, they move themselves up to 11, and what a beautiful fashion to do it as well. Blahaj, that was a bonus, sure, so they will have rifles into this next round, but when it comes down to a call like that, I don't think even having Vandals in your favor would have made nearly as much of a difference. I don't think it matters as much as just the big brain plays from NRG. Once again, they cut noise. This is what I mentioned before in that round that they otherwise lost. They walk up as close as they can, and they have the entire site to themselves, a player in their favor, and that spike in their grasp.
And everyone rotating over here from Blahaj. You've seen one member incredibly far away. Hijinks still going to be trying to catch up with his team. 3 members now looking to push in, and it's the post plant once more. The alarm bot gets the information as to where Strakes is playing. Doing the back of the side now. Hijinks made his way in, but the running headshot from Som, he's able to dismiss away, and it just feels bad to go down like that. It's infinite once more for a couple more. Jalmok trying to hang on as long as he could, but it's not long enough. It's NRG to 12-5, and man, Som, that is... Yeah, I mean, what can you do? The running headshot. It feels so bad.
Feels so bad to be on the receiving end of, that's for sure.
Exactly,
but on the dealing end, oh my god, you're gassing yourself up. NRG, they have everything in their favor as well for this round. It's like I said before, man, the rich get richer. They have so many good engines. These are like 3 of the best ults in the game, it feels like, man. I mean, not all of them, obviously, but... God, there's so many opportunities for them to close it out right here, but I really want to say, before anything else, as much as we're chalking this up to being a dominating NRG victory, which it is, so much respect to Blahaj, because even when they weren't exactly getting things going, they were constantly switching things up, and they have shown some promise. But Icebox, well, doesn't seem to be the map that they've shown up on. Maybe they're a map 2 kind of team.
That's the spike.
It does feel a little unfortunate that map 2 is going to be an NRG map pick. Now that lockdown used for the attackers here, NRG looking to push everybody off this A site. Play here more. Hijinks still hanging out all the way over to B, so making sure that there is no lurker this time. There is no rally the troops onto this B site. Nobody gonna have that information. Nobody detained. The nanoswarm goes out on a bit of information. Now Blix able to stop the plant, but it was more so feeling like a bait there to get that Hunter's Fury out of the way.
No way, they go B?
And yeah, the rotation coming on through. Hijinks is sniffing this one out, though. He is privy to this information, and he's going to hang out over towards Snowman. Breaks. Now watching up towards mid. Doesn't spot anybody, but could quite possibly hear the footsteps now. Som once more, though, on the flank. This is where this Reyna likes to hang out, likes to play. The shot goes wide. First stop shot down. Blades come through, going to be traded back and forth. Hijinks takes a bit of damage, but he finds a kill on the back end.
time.
3v4 Blahaj. Yep, they just got to buy some time here. That spike now going to be planted. Psalm on the flank. Shanks from downtown. The knives don't matter. Neither does the clock, as the defenders are going to be working against it. It's match point here on Icebox. Game number 1 in the round of 64. Zill is able to even the odds on the Reyna. Now needs to find some more with 31 HP and a Dream. Both members from NRG playing off the spike over towards that alt orb. Shank on 5th. Let's get flashed. The shots come through from the top of the box, and that's a full HP Daps. That's a 0 HP Daps. Now Shanks just needs to buy some time. Zill needs to push in and find the kill, but he will not. It's a 3K from none other than Shanks to close things out. In Icebox, the Blahaj map pick goes the way of NRG.
But so much respect as well. NRG, it's impossible to deny how good they looked. This is like the NRG that we saw towards the end of 2020. It looks, quite honestly, pretty fantastic. It's still early days. Yes, I understand this is a round of 64 team, but I'm loving what I'm seeing so far just in these early days of this kind of new face still, NRG. However, it's not the end of the road yet for either one of these teams. We still have a potential 2 other maps to look forward to, Tanner.
Yeah, and Icebox was one of the ones I had the most questions. Now, map 3 is going to be split. So some way, somehow, should Blahaj be able to pick up a map 2 victory? I believe that one is going to be on Ascent here. I want to take a look. No, it's Bind, actually. So we're going to be headed over to Bind. Should Blahaj be able to pick up a win there, then we get to see split. We get to see some more changes. We already, I think, got a huge change in Icebox not having a single Sage across the board.
Yeah.
So 2021 is already kind of being shaken up a little bit, and NRG looked so poised, as we said in that game. You talked about it, and I love that you brought up that coaching is so much, and I don't think coaches get a whole lot of love, especially in stuff like this. So hats off to Chet over there working with NRG and making sure that they're staying as that stalwart defense, even on attack, just ice in their veins, taking the shots that they need to take. Now, that's only game 1. It is a best of 3. We're in the round of 64. This is going to be our last best of 3 for the night, but it's not done yet. Guys, we are going to jump away for a quick second, but when we come back, we've got some more NRG versus Blahaj action, and we're taking it over to Bind.
What sound experience would you like today?
I'll have the fantasy pack.
Good choice.
And could you make it a Cloud 2 wireless?
On his way, sir.
Sounds amazing.
I feel like I need to defend my scene's honor here, because this is just turning into a bit of a dog battle.
Like in groups always look.
I'm
cutting
you off here. I'm cutting you off. Cutting you off. He said G2's winning it. He said G2's winning it.
Need to wait till the next EU tournament, which could be in about 10 years now.
Take it with like a grain of salt.
No,
but
that's
that
no
being
fun.
said,
Take it super literally.
Spike defused.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The VCT continues. We've got NRG taking on Blue High. Apologies, we've been misrepresenting that team for the entirety of game number 1 and this entire series. No more is that going to happen as we look to jump on into Bind. My name's still Tanner Metro. I'm still joined by Ito, and the percentages feel like for NRG, they just get better as we head over to Bind.
Yeah, I mean, this is their home domain. This is their territory, rather. 77% win rate, as I just want to point out real quick. Stats courtesy of VLR.gg for this one. I mean, they've already played it earlier today as well in that best of 3 against Virtuoso, and they ran Yoru in that game. Lots to take in from that first map, though. It was a banger, albeit a bit of a one-sided banger. I mean, I don't know. What do you expect hanging on to map number 2, Tanner?
Yeah, I want to know if the agent selection changes, if we do see the Brimstone, if we do see that Yoru. Does that still allow NRG to play that same, just almost plant your feet and take it, and they do end up, winning like that, but are they allowed to play that same playstyle where Yoru seems to be a bit more tricky, kind of wants to move around a little bit and be a bit more baity? So I'm interested to see how that plays out. As we got a handful of solid plays. I just got to shout outs to the initiators for Blue High.
Right.
It was Blix and Zill over and over. They had rounds where they were coming up clutch. We also had one at the end. I think it was the first round win for Blue High. That was Strakes to pre-fire for a 3K, picking that one up. So there's definitely fight in the soul of the Sharks here. We just need to see it. But as you said, it's a really high win rate for NRG on Bind going into map 2. This is their map pick, so they are going to be on that attacking side first, as Blue High have opted into the defense. And it's a very scary place to be. I do want to see a map 3 because I, as a spectator, I want to see more split. You can only handle so much of it in your solo queue games. I want to see how people have started to adapt to the changes that have been made, especially when we have huge operator changes. That is one where we could also see the Yoru. We could also see the Brimstone coming in for those post plants. So hopefully we do make it to a map 3, but Blue High, they're definitely looking at an uphill battle here for map number 2.
I mean, considering it was your map pick that you lost 13-5, and that's a number that I feel like I always need to come back to because, I think the scoreline is pretty sufficient as a kind of a way to frame the storyline for how they did, but Bind is going to be a completely different beast. We do see that Brimstone being locked, which is immediately interesting to me. No Yoru, unfortunately, Tanner. Make sure to wipe up your tears, but we are seeing a Sky, so we're still seeing a new agent in play, just not the newest.
Yeah, not the newest. Makes me a little sad. That would be my first time being able to cast a game. And that agent, I mean, it's really something different when you see it in the hands of the pros, right? When you get to see the plays that they make, it definitely makes solo queue a whole lot harder because you're going to have these people that are insta-locking Yorus once they see Shanks or whoever their favorite player might be playing that agent pick. Unfortunately, we don't get that. We've already seen Bind today. And the bind that we saw earlier in the day between 100 Thieves and the 5 Emperors was kind of a blowout. It kind of had the same feel as that Icebox, where it wasn't a complete blowout, but it was, 13-7. There wasn't a whole lot of times where we thought the opposition or the lower seeded team was going to win. Now coming into this one, again, I don't know what quite to expect with NRG starting on attack. Are they going to play that slow style? Are they going to try and lean on their defaults? Or are they going to play it a bit quicker here to try and come out ahead as we see a nice one-way smoke to kick things off over towards A? And there it is. Okay, so it's actually NRG on defense here to kick things off. And, I mean, that was aggression. So a complete flip of the script here, Ito.
This is just kind of a way to set the pace, if nothing else. Blue High, they're kind of still dipping their feet in the water, trying to find out the temperature of it, and it's apparently going to be boiling hot. NRG, in particular, EU, was more than ready to take a fight there. What I'm noticing immediately from NRG, though, is that once they've given up that pick, they do rotate one player over. That's cool enough, but they've completely backed off all the way from aggression. They don't want to play that trading game. They don't want to extend too much for map control. They'll just go ahead and let Blue High take it from here. Not that they have to worry about any ultimates or anything of the sort, but we're not even seeing anything all too creative when it comes to setups. One thing that I think you're constantly going to see a ton here is how Daps uses those nice little birds. I can't exactly remember the official name for them. I'm just going to go ahead and call them birds. They're so good for info, and it can completely change things up, man.
So you hear the teleporter, so now they have to be wary of what's behind it. Saw him on the brimstone, and it's Shanks right behind him. The frenzy getting the better half of this one. No blinding call out, but it doesn't matter. Infinite still finding a way to get it done. Once more, Trakes, the last standing here, running out of time in a 1v2, and Shanks closes it out. Once more, who better than Shanks to pick up that round one close? That is, I think that's exactly how we expected it. And you kind of talked about not a whole lot of setup coming out from Blue High here. So I wonder how things are going to evolve. The economy, not really in a spot that they can force up. And I don't think the mental or the morale is there as well. I think at the end of the day, you try and fall back on those rifles and do the best you can in those rounds.
One correction I just want to say real quick. I don't know why I said Daps was on the sky. It's actually Infinite, but still same message applies, is because, you know, Blue High, they aren't going to be forcing up in this round, but I still think you're going to be seeing Infinite try to play with those flashes for info because of the noise that it makes. Probably not in this one. Looking like Blue High are just ready to get this one done with. Double smoke for some reason over towards Market. That's just a little bit of salt in the wound, perhaps, but you know, sure, maybe I got a name wrong here and there, but still the same stuff remains true from NRG. They are going to be playing this really info heavy, and this is going to completely decide the pace. Next round is going to be one, it's going to be a banger. I don't even know what to say otherwise. But for now, again, they're looking to get this done with ASAP. There is one kill that goes away with Blue High, but oh no. I think they're just going to be collapsed in upon. This is going to be so heartbreaking.
Yeah, there's just nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. Yeah. Completely overwhelmed. Kills on 2, though. So already a bit of progress made as far as damaging the economy. It's not going to be an incredible bonus round coming on through. They are going to have to, not necessarily have to force up rifles, but you would assume that because they lost their SMGs, they do pick up those rifles. Now for Blue High, they have rifles. And the economy is a goose egg across the board for 4. So obviously this round means a lot, but it means so much more. We've seen, I think, a couple of teams going into that 4th round after losing the 3rd still feel comfortable forcing stingers. I don't think that's going to be the case here should they lose this round. The economy is just so bad. Now that Owl Drone going to go up. Paranoia comes on through. There's the dash. They call it out. Hot Hands able to stop the push from the other, and Shanks now on in a precarious position. Needs to be able to get on out. He should easily be able to walk through, but he's going to hang on to this angle just to make sure they don't give up showers, just to make sure they're not giving up ult orbs, right? That's one of the things you see a lot with Phoenix players is they are constantly being fed ult orbs for that run it back.
And they're pretty close to it, only 3 rounds into this mess. That was one thing I was actually going to note, is that I think they're going to be fighting a ton for this. And I love this like early excursion that we see from both teams, that paranoia just to retake control of it. And NRG, they've been rewarded for their efforts, but a double shock through. Oh, it's actually going to be coming from Blue High. That's a beautiful way to start things out. The duelist, Shanks, is taken down. So they don't exactly have that crazy dash play to use anymore, nor do they even have their smoker. And things are looking really good for Blue High because they've been slowly working for this map control and are being rewarded very handsomely for their efforts.
Infinite went unspotted around the box. The patience once more pays off for NRG, and the ring around the Rosie in favor. Assam finds one through the smoke, doesn't stop the plant, but it is a 3v2. Now working against the clock as NRG as that Trailblazer goes through to get a bit of information. Leaping around, we'll see what the dog here can find. It spots one out towards short. Now they know Jalmok playing inside a U-Haul. So I'm going to push on through, Phantom in hand, and we've seen the spray and pray, baby. There it is again. You just hold W key, and it just works. Now Zill needs to go shoot for another, but it's Infinite, the sneaky Sky that was playing on this A site to close it out. And NRG, it started off bad. It started off with Shanks going down early, but they turn it around again.
3v5 there converted from NRG. And that... Tanner, before you asked, what makes, is the difference really that big between these two teams? Which team here is going to be the one that consistently converts those bad situations into something more? The answer is NRG. I really think it's just those crazy on a whim calls that are making the difference. Infinite, undoubtedly my pick for most valuable player in that round because of how he managed to even things up back into a 3v3. Obviously, he was finished off by different members of the crowd of NRG, but Blue High, they have to be hurting after that one, and the stinging sensation has to still be there because they're losing numbers so quickly, man.
Enemy remaining.
Oh, wait a second.
Bucky OP though, Ito. Can't forget Bucky
no
OP
way he does
though,
this, man.
Ito. At the very least, this hurts the economy so much here. 3 kills and Jake's finally able to sit him down, but man,
it's a solid NT, man.
Man, nerf the Bucky, huh? Nerf the Bucky.
Look, man, I feel I feel so vindicated right now. I've been preaching the Bucky has been insane since day one. And finally, people are truly starting to understand. It's such an absurd gun for its price. $900, and look what Hijinks got out of it. It's what you said before, Tanner. So much economic damage. And also, he's actually built his way up to a showstopper. So, really, it's not game-changing, round-changing, but it definitely is a little bit of an ego boost. It is a little bit of a potential engine that you now have online. A double satchel play into showstopper, not too unexpected, but it will be the Hunter's Fury that is the first thing that gets popped here from Blue High.
Thrown out, taken down from Showers, so not gonna buy or get too much information, because they already know Shanks is there. With the jump peek over the top of that truck there, still not spotting anything else. So both teams, they're privy that people are here standing on the other side of the wall, but not 100% sure where they're headed. As Trakes, with the spike in hand, looking to rotate over towards this B side. A couple of trap wires set up to try and stop that flank from coming on over. And it's only Psalm here on that B side. Infinite has since rotated over towards A. And Zill actually grabbing that spike and heading back towards A. So this has been beautifully read by NRG, and a beautiful flash there. The information given that they're still there as well. Absolutely huge there for NRG. And Blue High working against the clock again. Need to get on seconds. Here comes the satchel charge. There comes the leap on in the flash, but it doesn't matter. Hijinks able to pick up the first kill to open things up. NRG now on the back foot. Shanks even does an Infinite once more. Man of the hour here. Blix finally takes him down, but Franks is just out of time. He's outmanned, and NRG against all odds figure it out.
There's so much that happened there that it's kind of hard to keep track of. But NRG, the things that I said to keep your eye on heading into this game were used perfectly. I told you exactly, I mean, that Sky is going to be so good. When everything was dead silent, they pop that bird in to try to find, hey, is there anything over here or over here by Showers? The answer was a resounding yes. That had to be the cue for Blue High to push out. They used that double satchel play in, found 1 kill for their trouble, but then that's where Infinite was already sitting in the smoke. Their minds are moving so quick, man. I don't know. We're watching 10 different Albert Einsteins here. However, I think right now we found one who reigns supreme overall. Found 5 that reign supreme overall, and that's NRG. 1 brain for each round that they have so far. However, you're going to have to count it as number 6 soon because they're well on their way. Psalm with another running shot. I don't even know what to say anymore, man. They just completely switch things up at their own volition.
Yeah, I mean, Psalm, the king of the run and spray here. It's worked so many times for him, and it's kind of a meme, but it's working. So yeah, I mean, how could you knock it there? 10-0 on the Brimstone. Already 2 pips towards that ult after seeing it. So headed in the right direction once more. Even if at the very least, Blue High pick up a couple of rounds and they hurt the economy a bit, you have the blades from Shanks to worry about, who does get spotted out. Infinite able to watch his back there. Saw him pushing on up, this time not running and shooting. He plants his feet and he finds that first kill onto Hijinks. Blix able to trade it back. But even when things are even, they're uneven. I think right now, Blue High finally be getting themselves in the driver's seat. They're trying to creep on up, but that center console just seems to be in the way. The neural theft comes through. The information now given. And it's going to be Daps over towards the safe side, trying to hold it down. The wall is there. Xiaomok has made his way up into heaven. So trying to find the flankers. Not going to find Shanks. Yes, he is. He spots him pushing to the back of the site. Now in a 2v4. This is looking incredibly winnable here for Blue High.
Spike planted on that note. Infinite, he does get that trade. We're back into a 2v2. He's also been tagged too, so they have an exact idea of where Infinite is located. Still, he's kind of flirting with the idea of actually peeking. Eventually, when he decides to, he gets completely shut down by Daps on that Sage. The healer is also one who can bring death. Trix is against 2 here, and he does find the beautiful spray onto the first, but the second seems to be a tall order, and he meets it anyway! Another time where he pre-fires based off of sound! And that is just amazing, man! Blue High, they get around on the board, but in the fashion that they did it, I'm sorry, but everything there was so well done. Zill, I understand that he only got 1 kill, but it was a kill onto the flanker into the neural theft, and then right on cue, Blue High decided, or excuse me, it was Xiaomok in particular, who used that from the shadows to teleport in over towards heaven, and that's when the A execute began. That was a beautiful round from Blue High, and yet it still went down to the wire, because that's just how good NRG are. You need to do it again. Have fun with that one, because NRG are already in your base. They're already trying to frag you out, and you have to go ahead and respect it.
Joke's over! You're dead!
There's a starter kill. And not nearly the finisher. Trades are going their way so far, but eventually all good things must come to an end, and this is where that solo factor from NRG starts coming into play. We were praising their teamwork previously, but right now, it's not so much the case. Shanks pushed in, was good for 2 kills, and then of course Daps was there as the finisher. 7-1, our scoreline now. And Tanner, I mean, I'm curious on your thoughts as well. I feel like I've been rehashing these same points. Blue High, they have shown one really great glimpse of glory, but overall it has been the NRG show. What needs to be done in your opinion?
I don't know what can be done, right? We already saw it in Blue High's map pick, where NRG, they just reign supreme in the most superior way, 13-5. Nice boost play here. Now you come over, and this is NRG's domain, and they are just okay to take everything away from you as Psalm picks up 2. It's going to be traded back, and it's an eco round. You can't expect too much here from Blue High, although the odds are even. There is a couple of vaults, so information here with the Seekers from Infinite, and Daps can look to find a resurrection.
What is this, Daps?
Yeah, the operator in hand takes the teleporter, so now completely stuck there. It could have been a bait since they haven't seen the omen, so maybe they could be expecting that it's a bait teleport or a fake from the omen. But Damp's now going to be creeping out. Surely they hear this, the Seekers get the information. There's the res. Now in a scary spot. They might just peek. He's actually going to bait out the peek with the res. Shanks makes it out on top of it all, and gee, it's just, I mean, polished is the way to call it. EU picks up 2 on the way out, and EU's been awfully quiet. Now making his way up that leaderboard.
Well, when everybody is seemingly popping off, when your team is up 8-1, there has to be one person who, maybe lagging behind isn't the right word, but who isn't getting all of the frags. In this case, it just seems to be EU, but he's getting involved. He's like, hey, get me in on some of this business. And Blue High are the unfortunate victims. Definitely anything but unfortunate if you're a fan of NRG. Up 8-1 at this point. They are looking insurmountable. But the game isn't done yet. We haven't even touched overtime, halftime yet, excuse me. And this is about where NRG are going to say, hey, let's have a little bit of fun with it. They just sent 4 people on top of Nicewall. Okay, we'll go ahead and talk about that one a little bit later, because it already has been completely evacuated, bailed upon, and there are the kills to match. Blue High now in a 4v2. Once again, have to do it all. Wait a sec.
Player standing.
Logo, make it one left. Yaps, no res, just has the heal. Gonna have to go for it here. I mean, there's no reason not to just send it. We'll see how this play works out. The spike is down in hookah though, so has this that needs to worry about a handful of problems here. What could be a handful of problems in that ultimate in the cage is enough to back them away. They do send it out over towards long. Now NRG gonna be creeping on up. Oh my god. Spike goes. We'll see. Dap. End of the hour here. Dap see Mr. Fourth Quarter. Is that only Shanks here on this NRG? Now one tries to put it straight down. Nice satchel to try and buy some time. It doesn't matter. High control down, and Dap, the man of the hour, a 9th round win.
As if they needed that in their favor. Blue High. I mean, are they even kicking themselves for that one, or are they just kind of feeling a little bit bitter and hopefully regaining their composure, looking to go again? Because we are reaching the end of this half now, and they do have a couple of more ultimates to use. Again, that's your daily ultimate check. Still a little bit of way from that run it back, mind you. But look, I understand that was overall a great 1v2, but at the same time, give a little bit of praise to Blue High, how they nearly converted that 4 versus 2 into their favor. That is by no means an easy task against NRG of all teams, much less, I don't know, a scrim team or something of the sort. Okay, the wall has been brought in, and Tanner, you gotta take this one away. I'm losing it right now, dude. I'm losing it.
That is tough. The Odins coming out from NRG. The teleport now, this time not going to be a fake. As EU just going to hold the angle, making sure nobody makes their way out of hookah. Hijinks going to find the first. That judge in hand can be deadly. And a tag from across the map. That's big. Starting to put Blue High in the driver's seat. The smoke goes through. Yama, finally somebody falls to the Odin. So NRG, they get a bit of return on investment, but it's looking like this round falling by the wayside. And you know, maybe they take the next one a bit more seriously, Ito.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to keep in mind, they're up 9-1. This is a round of 64 where, while upsets are definitely possible, NRG are one of those teams that I mentioned that have put their nose down to the grindstone and have still been competing in tournaments, while maybe others have been restructuring or taking a well-deserved holiday vacation, something of the sort. They're having fun with it, and I you know, at some point you just gotta go ahead and recognize that. Sure, they're gonna go for the meme wall strats and then Odins to completely destroy the ears of our viewers, but you know, it looks like they're gonna completely abandon that strat. Possibly wonderful news for the headphone users, but also great news if you're a big fan of NRG. You can close this out earlier, and Blue High now have to deal with the op once again in Shanks' hands, as well as a wealth of rifles across everybody else on NRG. Now, what our observer has actually done a really good job of pointing out is that they're setting up for a dart immediately. I'm expecting this to be maybe a change of pace from Blue High. I think something quicker is kind of what they need right now. I always mention those pace changes, and I think now would be a perfect opportunity for one, assuming we don't get shut down, that is.
That's kind of tough to change the pace when Shanks is just mowing you down, and you right there behind him. Nice kill through the smoke. Once more, that's spiked down, and Blue High just have not been able to catch a break against this NRG roster.
No,
ultimate behind though, and EU, he gets punished. A little BM there, trying to get a free ult on the way out. And an interesting wall. So the spike has since been picked up. Bathroom's not necessarily cleared out, as everybody's still hanging out over here for Blue High. And we'll see. Neural Theft goes through. Flash comes out as well. He's going to get the information. Psalm is there walking backwards. A beautiful play there for the NRG boy. Still is going to be able to get one back, but that is it. Only one. As NRG go into the half 10-2, and they look to things out here into old fashion.
Still a little bit of fun. I like it. You know, NRG, they're not going to try to take this super try-hard seriously, but my God, you can't help but just think maybe EU teleporting there was a bit of a silly idea, maybe not the optimal play in that situation. But as we look and reflect on that first half, there were a lot of highlights for the NRG side. I mean, that flash play towards the end, I think, is a really good, succinct summary of why that Sky is so good to bring out on Bind, why Sky is so good. I mean, Stronglegs has been preaching that for a while, I understand now. But, I mean, we're only 3 rounds away from NRG advancing to the round of 32, Tanner. I want to believe in Blue High, but we need to see something this pissed around and not much later.
Not a whole lot of time, right? You have basically zero space for Blue High on the defending side. This pistol round going to be absolutely huge, and they play so far off this A side. 3 members over towards B, 2 towards Showers. Once more playing for that alt orb for their Phoenix.
Hijinks. Straight out of April, dude. The wall up for the APC plant? This is so old. I love it.
And that's what happens when Sage makes her way back into the meta. Now everybody rotating over. One on the flank, that is Hijinks. You have to pay attention to the bottom side of that mini-map. This Raze could get heaps of value, but Infinite due diligence to clear it out, but it doesn't matter. Hijinks with the first kill here, and Shanks, if we could just tell him to shoot and vice versa. Not going to be the case, though. Trace picks up that kill onto Shanks. Dap's going to trade one back, but NRG on the back foot. Down a man. Blick's going to get the spray down. He's got the Blicky on him. He picks up a couple of kills.
Wow.
Make it 3 as NRG will fall, and a 3rd round picked up here. And a very, very important when it comes to momentum for Blue High.
This is what they needed. I said they need to get around soon. This pissed around and not much sooner. And how soon is apparently now. They finally get another one online. It's not unexpected, this buy-up from NRG. They're going to be bringing the Stingers to the table, as well as a single Spectre in the mix. I mean, actually, one thing I want to note real quick is that Skye has such a cheap kit. 600 credits, I believe, for everything in her arsenal. So, you know, again, imagine that you're going to be seeing a lot of flash plays through, and maybe NRG aren't taking this all too seriously right now. Again, they're up such a massive buffer, but another quick play, something similar to what they just did on their pistol, I think would work out very well for how Blue High are set up. There's the smokes in. We begin.
And we do begin. It's Psalm to kick things off. The run and gun pays off a bit more when you have the SMGs in hand. And Psalm gonna buy a bit of time, faked it a few just to see if anybody's gonna try and do anything crazy. Nice wall for the flanks. You no longer have to worry about that as Daps gonna secure that one. You can hear the stampede though coming from this defender spawn as the flashes go through. Paint shell is gonna be queued up. Psalm goes good for another, and Daps finds one too. The force starts to pay off, and NRG in full force storm onto this A site. And at the beginning, Ito, we said it, a bit of aggression coming out from NRG. Now on the attacking side, the 70+% win rate, you see how comfortable they are here, and they're looking to just close it out now.
They're in the driver's seat, if you would. They're in a prime position to finish it right here, right now. Blue High aren't going to take this one sitting down, mind you. They're not going to wait until match point to have all their rifles in play, all their util on the board. No, they're bringing Buckies. They're bringing Stingers to this. And we saw how crazy that Bucky is previously. And actually, it seems that NRG are at least going to be sending one player, Psalm, to kind of, again, dip his toes in the water and see what the temperature is like. And it seems to be rather shocking to him. Pun actually not intended at all. I didn't even mean to pull that one out, but he gets hit by a shock dart, and he's down to about 78 points of health here. So you might see him concede a little bit of space, respect it, get healed up by the Sage. NRG, what did they learn from that? There's people in hookah. So what's realistic here is that they have their options open for maybe a teleporter play, or just go ahead and hold the line, maybe find a kill right here. There you have it. One player pushing down mid. That's a freebie for NRG. The entire map opens up to them.
And it was Bucky's OP earlier. That time around, not going to be Bucky OP. And somehow Psalm has managed. Okay, finally he goes down, but he has just survived it all. NRG. The odds have been even in a 4v4. They storm this B site and they push everybody away. Now one flank from this defender-sided spawn as that spike looks to go down. Blix can be the first to contact here, picks up the kill onto Daps. That's the Sage down and the weapon upgrade. Gun game right in front of our eyes. There is also a Phantom on the board here should they find that kill. EU from downtown with the Stinger doing Stinger things. Find another as Trace trades it back, and it's to the wire. It's to the 1v1. It's up to Shanks to get it done, and NRG are on match point.
I said they had the entire map in their hands, but I didn't think it'd come down to a 1v1 with Shanks, Mr. Fourth Quarter himself, having to step up, but he does. This is why he was brought onto the squad. That man, he knows how to finish things up here in Blue High. Again, it's a punch in the gut, man. So close. And such a great response as well. Consider what they had to work with now, Tanner. They had 2 Buckies and 3 Stingers, and yet they made it go down to a 1v1 against what was pretty actually heavy rifles, a heavy buy from NRG. It sucks to lose it like that, but Blue High, they have to go ahead, recoup from their losses, take it in stride, and move on to this next one. They have forced up everything they can, Tanner, and this might be the final hurrah. They need to win these opening fights, and that is their chance squandered. Zill goes down, Tanner.
Everybody on this A site going down. It's up to the 3 rotating here from Blue High, and it is looking incredibly dire. That Daps actually buys the attention as well from Hijink. So that Ray's going to be a bit slower to it. Orbital Strike going to go just wide, and Shanks once more. A beautiful headshot onto Blix to try and close it out. EU on the flank. He will fall. But at what cost? The Shock Dart goes through. The kill actually going to get picked up here. Hijinks, the rotating member, able to pick up the paint shell, kills low HP. This could be it, the judge, the clutch. Is this going to be it? Daps has since rotated over. NRG playing with the clock. He just has to stick it at the very least halfway. He's peeking over towards U-Haul, and he's shot in the back. NRG close it out 2-0.
But another respectful attempt from Blue High. Few rounds, 8 between the 2 maps, and yet I still couldn't help but cheer for them because 1, that underdog story is in their favor, but 2, the fashion in which they won some of the few rounds that they did have in their favor was really respectable. Yeah. This is a team that I'm not sure if they're just a pug team put together for the VCT, or if this is a team that's constantly grinding, trying to make things, trying to make deep runs into any tournament that they can enter. But I respect it. I think there's a lot of promise in some of these players, but you're just up against NRG. Yeah. I want to see them grind it out, but at the end of the day, it's a 2-0, and NRG, they will be moving on to the round of 32. I'm not sure who they're facing up against, however.
Yeah, I know the bracket. I think I saw in chat during the break that the bracket, all of the websites basically have kind of made it hard to see that bracket. So many clicks and so much traffic to those. So unfortunately, we are unsure as to where they are headed outside of that they're going to the round of 32. And I think what we saw in the round of 64 is exactly what we saw in the round of 128, right? A really strong team playing a team that is still just trying to figure it out. And NRG obviously have put their time in, had their dues, and put their licks in. Same thing goes for 100 Thieves. And as far as 5 Emperors and Blue High, they just go back to the drawing board. The best part about it all is if you don't make top 8 now, you have top 4 in the next open qualifiers and the one following to try and re-qualify. So a handful of chances to make a name for yourself. And I think at the very least, you probably learned a lot from this, right? There's winning and there's learning. Lose is improve. There's so many sayings like that. And when you're playing some of the tier talent, you can go back on a broadcast like this or watch and see what you could have done better. And I think at the end of the day, knowledge is the biggest victory for both of the teams that we saw go home today. And then knowledge to be carried into that next open qualifier. Now, unfortunately, as Ito said, the round of 32 is coming up, but that is going to be tomorrow. Ito, I want to get your thoughts, though, on kind of the day as a whole. This matchup obviously being fresh on our brains, but jumping back to 100 Thieves and 5 Emperors as well.
I obviously wasn't able to watch all the games. I only have so many eyes, and I had to really focus on this one. So I can't really speak for all the other games that went on, the TSM games, the T1, etc., etc. But just for the ones that we saw on stream, there's some promise for sure. 100 Thieves and NRG, these are 2 tournament-winning teams. They have been around the block. They have gotten their licks in, experience across multiple games, I think all of them. It's hard to try to upset when you're a no-logo pug team or a new team or a team that maybe didn't make it super deep into some of the more local tournaments. But this is where you can get that experience, where you can grow, quite honestly. Round of 128 and round of 64, let's be honest here, you're not going to be seeing the most upsets, but we still got some really good games out of this. I'm not going to forget that 13-8 bind between 5 Emperors and 100 Thieves. That was actually a really fun game to watch. There's highlights all around. I mean, lots of respect to the teams that got first rounded or even second rounded here. If you don't move on, that's okay. You have another chance, like you mentioned, but keep your nose to the grindstone. I've said that 3 times today, but this is the final time. I swear. Stick true, and you're going to be happy with your results. That's all I got.
I mean, I think that's all that you can hope to do, especially a team, like I said, knowledge is going to be one of the biggest things that you pick up in a loss against some of these stronger teams here, if not the best teams here in the tournament. As we do have our Mike and Ike sweet play of the day queued up for you guys, and it is going to be none other than actually on the losing side of things. I believe we're tossing this one over to Hijinks, getting it done.
Oh, well, it's a beautiful graphic and a more beautiful play right here. The final 3 shots with this Bucky. I mean, look at this third one, too. You were talking about how insane the Bucky is. I don't understand. Every bullet must have gone into the head there. He has, like, a homing device. I don't know. It's, like, crazy expensive ammo in order to hit that one here. But with 1 HP, at the end of the day, he did not win that round, unfortunately. Spoiler alert, but I don't know. It's a great play. It's flashy, and it's from an underdog. You always love to see it.
Yeah, I think flashy plays, we could even go back to Icebox, and Trace picked up a solid play in their first round win where picks up a 3K, he pre-fires a corner, he kills Shanks, stopping him from defusing, and so I think there is a lot for Blue High to kind of look back on and rejoice about as we see NRG be the team that does move forward. So, I mean, solid across the day as a whole. Round of 64. There is a lot of Valorant left, and I'm not too sure where things are headed. I hope everybody got a chance to check out some of those other games. I know that I'm going to be headed back into some of those community streams to check those out to see how the teams did. But guys, I don't want you guys to forget one of the huge partners here helping us out for this broadcast in HyperX. We talked about him a bit earlier. We're running it back for you guys. As you can see, Ito holding up the HyperX thing there, guys. And every day, billions of people wake up, eat, and fire up a game. That is just about everybody, I think. Fire up a game as a part of their daily routine, whether it be console or PC, casual, which is a lot of you, or pro. No matter your creed, color, or culture, we're all gamers, and HyperX is always ready to game. You saw Ito holding up the microphone, whether it be headsets, microphones, keyboards, mice, the mouse pad that actually I'm using right now because it's large and in charge. HyperX really gets it done. Now, as far as the day goes, round of 128, by the wayside, we saw 100 Thieves take that 2-0 victory. Round of 64, by the wayside, 2-0 victory going over to NRG. I know that we're not going to be here tomorrow moving throughout the tournament, but based off the 2 teams that we saw today and some teams that we're expecting to see moving forward, what are some thoughts on the round of 32? I guess maybe we just talk about NRG because we know specifically that they're moving forward. Do you think things stay the same? Do you think that we still expect to see that passive play style where they do hold stalwart on defense and they just plant their feet and bang?
Well, they move a lot quicker when it comes to playing post plants, whether it's them themselves who get the spike down or it's the enemies who do. They always move quickly at the right time. They have an incredible grasp on the pacing of the game, quite honestly. I could see them going far, but I think round of 32 and round of 16 is where you're going to be seeing a ton of upsets. Your favorite teams might not make it in because it's a brand new year, man. So many roster changes have come through. Some teams have taken a well-deserved break. I mean, that is just the perfect setup for a potential upset or two. You know, it's undeniable. As for my expectations, it's hard. NRG, I just think, have such a good grasp on the game. I think they're only getting better with time, and this was no exception. It's a round of 64 team, sure, but man, they looked good while finishing this up 2-0.
Yeah, they did it in one of the best ways that you could get it done, especially on your map pick. Now, as we've been saying, that unfortunately does things for us today, but that does not stop the Valorant action as we've got that round of 32 picking up tomorrow at the same exact time, guys. That stream is going to be live at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time for you guys to jump on in and catch that action. Brighton, I guess not bright and early, but nice and comfy into the evening I guess, yeah, it does depend on where you are, but 7 p.m. is when the games are going to be kicking off Eastern Standard Time. On behalf of myself, Ito, the production crew has been awesome. Our observers as well. We want to thank you guys for tuning in today, and we'll see you guys in the chat tomorrow.
Drop, 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 drop,